Giacomo's. Sal, he's the man. Giacomo's Italian Market. We had him on the podcast. We're doing a pop-up together. I don't know if I've met anyone who as real as Sal. He hugs me every time I see him. I love Sal. And you know what else I love about him? His food. His food is fantastic. It's an Italian market right over there on College Hill. He's got sausages. He's got his own soda now. There's pasta, there's the rice balls. There is so much stuff over there that is just unique and special. And then you got the menu. The breakfast sandwich I was lucky enough to have, that's killer. The sausage sandwich is killer. The sausage itself is killer. The cheesesteak is killer. Giacomo's is such a unique thing to this area, and I'm so happy it's like 10 minutes from the studio. But Giacomo's, man, they are on... 700 Cattell Street in Easton, College Hill, and you can go to giacomositalianmarket.com. I cannot wait to do more things with him. I'm selling his sausage sandwich called the G-Spot. We're doing that on our pop-ups. So that is Giacomo's Italian Market. Please go check them out. Love them to death. They are a new sponsor, and thank you so much for sponsoring the show. Mindleaf CBD. I'm a lot calmer with this read. You know why? Because I'm using these products from Mindleaf. Liz came on the show multiple times. Awesome story on how she got into this. They are making all their products. We got the barbecue pretzels. The pretzels are fire. The tinctures, those are my big thing that I use. I go to sleep with those. The tinctures knock this groundhog out every time I go to bed. The CBD gummies are great, and the Delta 8s. The Delta 8s are fantastic. They'll put you on the moon. I enjoy that. Seriously though, this is a fantastic CBD product. I stand behind it. I got to use all of their stuff, and it is 100% the go-to thing I use now for joint pain, for going to sleep. The snacks are awesome as well. It's just an added bonus. I'll go over to the store and pick those up. Liz is one of a kind. You can follow their social media, Mindleaf CBD, and then it's mindleafcbd.com that you can order all their stuff online. So if you're not local to the area, if you are local, I suggest you go over to the shop. They have a really cool shop over on College Hill. It's actually close to Giacomo's, which is another sponsor. But that's Mindleaf CBD. Get your tinctures, get your Delta 8s, get your gummies, get all of your CBD needs from Mindleaf. We're doing pop-ups and things together as well. So follow their social media. We are connecting them into the network. So go support them because they support me. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. fiveanddimeeaston.com. They have their website officially up. You can shop most of their stuff online. They also have Fucked. They have Fucked in the store. I think they're the only one allowed to sell Fucked out of their store. It's 484-544-4719. That's at 5 and Dime Easton on social media. These guys are great. I mean, they're killing it. It's the best skate shop, in my opinion, in the area. They have a lot of cool stuff there. Both the owners are rad. I stop in when I can. They're open Monday through Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 10 to 7, and Sunday, 11 to 5. There is someone always there to help you out with your needs. You can check their inventory off the website. You can check out some videos they got on there, and they're doing some cool things. Their social media is awesome. They support a lot of local skaters in the area, and they're growing. I'm excited to be a part of them growing. I'm excited to help them out. They're helping me out. It's a good relationship, and I push 5 and Dime Easton because they're the best skate shop in the area. Check them out. Eric K. Dowdle, defense attorney. We had him on the show, and what crazy stories this guy's had. He's helped a ton of people over the years, and if you're looking for help, he is your guy. You can contact them at 610-882-3000, and it's ekdefense.com. Do you have a pending court case? Do you have a court appearance and need a defense lawyer? Do you need proper representation? Felony, misdemeanor, drug offense, assault, homicide, DUI, traffic violation, appeals. Reach out to Eric. Check out the podcast we did with him as well. It has his whole story on there. If you need help, Eric is here to help you. He sponsors the show. We appreciate it. He's going to be doing a monthly thing with us. Eric will be a part of the family now. Thank you for sponsoring. When we first started, got our first studio, the guy lied to us and said they didn't have anybody else in the building, and then they had NA and AA meetings, and then like you'd be outside and like these junkie kids from like Allentown and all over the area would be like, yo, you got a cigarette? And they were like real shady. Like you could tell they were like still using and shit. And we had like thousands of dollars worth of equipment in the studio that you could just, it was just a regular door because they were offices we were renting. So that's when I bought a bunch of security cameras, and then we were able to watch it. And then I started seeing the landlord coming into our space and not telling us.
What the fuck?
Yeah, which I believe is not legal.
I mean, the NA and AA would be one thing for cheap pussy, but once shit starts to the fucking pawn shop,
I've already dated people in that realm. It's not a.
It doesn't sound fun.
Well, when I got sober, I was dating a girl who was recovering off of heroin, and like I didn't know what that meant because I was just getting sober. And then when you go down that road, and you're like, oh, you know, I was going to therapy and shit. So when somebody starts explaining to you like what Suboxone is, and like, you know, when you really get introduced to people who are addicted to heroin and spend a year with them, you start finding out what it's like to be addicted to heroin.
I'm good.
Yeah. So the whole dating train wrecks is kind of watering down for me. It's been enough.
I feel like
I mean, well, in my opinion, most of them are train wrecks. So like you have to just decide who you want to tolerate in that realm.
They're worse now than ever because not only is it fucking hard to find somebody that can actually have a conversation, if anything gets marginally fucking hard. Like you want somebody that's in your boat.
Yeah, yeah.
But as soon as the boat starts getting some waves, these motherfuckers are rowing against your ass.
Yeah,
fucks
it's weird.
Your entire fucking life up, and then doesn't think a big deal about it.
Nope.
Then literally ends up with the most mediocre motherfuckers you could possibly think. Like, and then they're like got the fucking balls to be like, this person's got a great personality, and you watch this copy and paste dickhead making other people's fucking jokes, and then make their own jokes and fucking bomb. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Here's your real personality, and it sucks.
I hate dating. I haven't dated in, we were talking before the show, I haven't dated probably, I don't even know. The last was so bad, it's almost like PTSD where I don't want to get back into it.
It's fucking hard.
It's terrible.
I mean,
no one ever talks about this from the guy's standpoint.
Fuck no. And I'll be honest, a lot of guys are pieces of shit.
Yep.
Like they lie their fucking asses off. They don't do shit. They're literally, and I want to say this to you, and I don't give a fuck if it upsets you. Your slides and socks on a weekday at fucking 2 in the afternoon, you're not doing shit with your life.
I do it for fashion, not comfort.
Then, if you fucking are dating a guy and you're talking about, I just want all this stuff to work out and be magic, and he is the fucking, he sits on his ass an entire Sunday, watches football, also never going to do a motherfucking thing ever. Like, I don't know who the fuck has that kind of free time. I have no fucking idea, and I don't know who can sit there for an entire day and not do a fucking thing.
Yeah. It drives me nuts sitting still.
Like, I'll be honest, it's a fucking problem because I have to get up and do something every fucking day, and I feel nuts because I start pacing if I don't.
Yeah. I try and take breaks, and even like Mondays now, I try and take off Sunday, Monday. And then even yesterday, I was like, okay, we're not going to do a lot today. Check your emails, stay up so that Tuesday is not a dumpster fire. But like, I'll just start pacing, and then that's usually like with hiking too, like that fills that void where I'm like, yeah, but I'm saying is I have to be doing something. And then when if I don't do something a couple days in a row, I start getting into this fucking slump, and then I'm like downshifting into a wrong gear. And then like the other week I wasn't feeling good, and then I couldn't get back up, and then I was like, fuck, man. And then I joined a gym, and then I told you. So now it's like I go over there, and I'm doing like an hour and a half of cardio, and I'm still like, all right, cool, let's go back to the studio. Let's do something.
Man, it's a weird line.
It's crazy.
You don't want to do the same thing so much you fucking hate it.
Yep.
But then you can't not do shit because it turns into one day, turns into two, turns into a week, turns into a month.
Yeah, I'm always rotating.
I mean, just like bad days, you're going to have shitty days.
Yeah.
But how long are you going to let them drag out?
Yeah, what I do now, and I was talking to somebody about this, is I sit in it. So now, I've gone to therapy. I just stopped seeing my therapist after like probably 15 years. And it's weird because now I have to make decisions on my own, but that's what I want to do. I don't want to have to run everything by somebody. But now it's like when I get in that funk and I see it coming, I'm like, all right, sit down. And I'll sit down and I'll either put on music or YouTube and like, usually what'll happen when I sit is I get tired and then I'll go to sleep. And then when I wake up, I'm usually out of it and I'm like, cool, it ran its course. But last week it lasted 3 to 4 days. And then on day 3, I was like, you have to do something. I still went to the gym. And then day 4, it was still hanging around. And it wasn't until like Friday where I was like, okay, you got to control over it. But it's been years since it's been that many in a row. But if you don't know what the fuck you're doing and how to hang in that situation, it could get fucking weird.
But most people are perfectly content with it. Most people are some complacent motherfuckers. And it's hard. And it's like, it's hard to not surround yourself with people that'll help you do better.
Yeah.
Like, I've been pretty good. And even dating makes it worse. Because you think you're with somebody that you're both helping each other. You're going to grow. But fucking relationships are fucking hard. Everything's easy in the beginning.
It's for 6 months. That's all mine ever lasts.
It's amazing for 6 months. And then it's
6 months.
Fuck this. You have problems? Like, wait a minute.
I keep telling everybody, and everyone thinks I'm kidding, is eventually I'd like to get to a point where I'm just paying escorts to hang out with me on a weekend.
I mean, I don't think it's crazy.
No. And then, because after I explain it to my friends, I'm like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I would get away and go somewhere nice, and then they're there, and then spend the weekend with them, and then around the end of Saturday be like, hey, look, I want this to be real, so let's start arguing. And then really get into it. Then Sunday have some crazy makeup sex, but then have her like throw a vase against the wall and have some kind of manic episode. And then I'll be like, all right, cool, I'm out. And then, but that's the end of it, and then fly back home.
The cars still have lighters in them because you could get burned with a circle lighter.
Yeah. I'm like, but then I was like, all right, well, what else would you really need? Because it's like, the other thing that people don't explain is that it takes a while to learn how to be by yourself, and some people don't ever get there. I have friends that get out of a relationship, get right back into another one, out, and I'm like, how are you even pulling this off? Yeah. And then when I take my breaks, and they're usually much needed because of the toxic people I surround myself with them during it, I started realizing how much right now I'm just starting to enjoy my space again since my ex. So like right now I feel awesome. So like if I had the opportunity to fly somewhere and like, get some top-notch trim, fucking do my thing, it's totally cordial. We go out to dinner. I'm not talking about just like wham bam thank you ma'am. Like, let's have a good weekend.
The GFE.
Yeah. Let's go get some champagne. Let's go out to dinner. Let's just fuck like rabbits. And then if it's completely mutual, I don't care if I even have to pay for it.
I mean, you're definitely going to pay for it. But man, like,
so like, why wouldn't you do that?
The problem with being by yourself all the time, and I'm by myself all the fucking time. Like, live by myself, eat by myself, every fucking thing. I mean, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Yeah. It's rare I'm with.
Did you go over to your parents' house?
Hardly.
Yeah, I try and stop. Before my dog died, this whole podcast is just gonna be like a country song. My girl left, my dog died, fuck you. When my dog died, I stopped going over there because it's terrible to go back into the house, and they don't want another dog because they want to start traveling because they're in their 70s. So I noticed I stopped going over there, but I try and go over when I can. But other than that, I'm usually, I get to do this, so this helps. Like, just like, we talk all the time, but how many times have we tried to set up hanging out? So like being able to do this has been beneficial, but other than that, I like to keep to myself. I mean,
the one thing you've seen,
but it does get weird when you're by yourself.
The whole thing you've seen in the past year or two now, when everybody posts this shit and their fucking stupid quotes that they're never gonna do a fucking thing after they post them, is like, I could live here by myself for this long, but then I watch it and I'm going, no, obviously you fucking can't. Like, it's not easy. No. But the fucking hardest part is when you let somebody in and count on them for shit, and then they completely fucking dump your ass when shit gets tough. Yeah. Like, getting back used to doing it all by yourself again.
That's very difficult. It's one of the most difficult things to do. And I've had people dump out on me. I mean, I've had one person come in and out of my life 10 times over 10 years and done the same thing over and over and over. And then, especially the last time, it's like, it's like you have a conversation with somebody and you think you're on the same level and you think that you're going to work through things. And I come from, my parents stayed together. They worked everything out. They've had their ups and downs, and they always made things work. So like, my impression of a relationship is different from somebody that might have been in a divorce, might be coming from a domestic shit where there's shit fucked up. So like sometimes my view of it is like, yo, we worked through this stuff, but I thought that that's what we agreed to. Like, what the fuck? So then when I see that like every relationship, I can't find one where there's an even balance, like cool, like I'll just stay in this lane. And if nobody fucking matches into what, complements what I'm doing, I'll just fucking go to goddamn fucking somewhere warm and not fucking deal with this shit and fly back and be rejuvenated and enjoy the experience.
I mean, I do it now. Well, I didn't do it for a while when COVID really hit. You didn't really go anywhere. And it was
Early onset COVID.
Yeah.
That remember when we couldn't drive?
Yeah, couldn't drive. Yeah, like I had a wagon.
Yeah.
So
like my buddy used to sneak. He lives across the street, and he would be like, I'm gonna go through the alleys because that was when they like made you think it was like Red Dawn and you were gonna get like shot in the streets.
I mean, I used to travel all the time. Got in a relationship for a couple years.
Yeah, because you were in the car scene or the trucks and all that. You've always been in that scene, and that's how I met you through Nat. So like you would always be fucking, hey, I'm here. You would always go to the...
Dude, guys in Texas would call me a fucking gypsy all the time because I would just randomly show. But
you did.
I'd always make sure there was something cool to see so I just didn't have to do car shit.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
like,
a good way to do it,
It's
though.
better because then you go to the show for like a day. And then you go look at other, but I look at some dumb shit is the other problem. Like nobody wants to see that shit, and I don't want to make a schedule, so I don't book hotels or anything.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it.
It's less stressful that way.
And you're not fucking scheduling yourself.
Yeah. Scheduling, I go back and forth with like creating a schedule, and then once the schedule's created, I'm like, I hate having a schedule, and then I break it down and just go back and forth.
You don't want to dictate where you do and don't have to stop if you drive far. But like I didn't do it for 2 years. The girl I was seeing started travel working, so I wanted to make sure I was home when she was home. So then all that shit went to fucking hell in a handbasket, and then I decided, fuck it. Every month and a half, I'm going to go somewhere, and like you said, clear my head, reset, go.
Yeah.
So I would just, like, plane tickets are so fucking cheap.
It really is.
Rental cars are ridiculous.
There's a lot of things too where I'm stuck in it now. I want to break that. Is like you don't realize how easy it would be. Even like I look at like Key West and like different parts of Florida that like there's like a really awesome beach and like there's these fucking people down there hanging out, and I'm like, I could get on a plane and be there in 2 hours, and I could get there Friday. I could leave Thursday night, be there Thursday night, and then have Friday, Saturday, and leave Sunday evening and still be back in town. And what's the difference between doing that or driving around here, going to bars, watching the fights, and spending the same amount of money, not leaving the studio?
I mean, I'm not a beach guy, and I have more shorts.
You looked great on the beach this year.
Thank you. I felt like Hasselhoff. So I'm
when you posted that, you were like, I haven't worn shorts
since I was fucking 12. Since I was fucking 12, right? So I'm like, fuck it. Every time I do something now, I'm doing something I don't normally do. So I went to Florida, never been to Florida. I'm like, all them guys have said the water's too cold. I'm like, it says 70 degrees. I'm like, they go, yeah, I go, it's 85 out. And it can't be that bad. So the only thing I had left was like fight shorts from when I did jujitsu.
Yeah, doggy.
So I brought them.
They're comfortable.
Got out, got in the water. I'm like, it was just like I remembered. You put your head under, it's fucking warm now and it's fine.
Do you get worried about sharks and whales and things eating you?
No, I get worried about fucking jellyfish now that R. Kelly's locked up because he's gonna piss on me. Like that's the biggest jam. Like you look around for R. Kelly, you hear bump and grind, and there's nobody around. What do you do?
I was never a beach person. I started going down with Jer and Gina, and then Jer's older than me, so I pay attention to people who are older than me anymore because I'm like, oh, you've been here. So like I never like looked at my parents as like I just always thought they were that age. And then when I got older, I was like, oh, you guys have lived through this. And my dad's like, yeah, I did all the dumb stupid shit you do. Why do you think we argue all the time? So when we went down there, we went to the beach and we sat, and I didn't know that you could decompress on a beach like that. And then we sat in the sun and everyone had umbrellas and I was cooking, and then like the women who were on the trip were like, hey, you're gonna need an umbrella. And like, did you bring lunch? And I'm like, no. And then when I got like after 2 hours of just sitting there, we were drinking, smoking, whatever, it just went boom. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then once that happened, I got hooked where I just look forward to it because it's a week of just slowing down. And the first time we went back last year, me and Jer went on the beach and we smoked, and we snuck down. because we got to the beach late, and so it was like in the evening. So like we just smoked and brought a bunch of beers. I brought my speaker with me, and we just looked into the sky and like, dude, down at the Outer Banks, you can see shooting stars. You could, like it's like being in a planetarium.
Can you not see that here?
You can in Bushkill. It's just not. The sky is super clear down there.
Well, you've been to my house. You've been to my house.
Yeah.
So I have that sunroom that I actually fucking.
Oh yeah.
So if you, like when they had the lunar eclipse earlier, it was real long.
So you can see out there.
Oh, dude, I cranked the fucking telescope up, and I could just sit in there.
Yeah, because your area is similar to my parents, where it's like, my parents are like a couple miles from here, and there's like really no like light pollution. So like in the Outer Banks, it's like, dude, if it's a clear sky, it is. You could sit out there and just look up. So we were just there, and everything starts slowing down. And I just looked at Jared, and I was like, that's so crazy what happened this year. Like just being like the speed of like, you don't realize that you're like, go, 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 go. And how we were talking about, you need to keep doing stuff. When you slow down, sometimes I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck was that year? So like that was when I fell in love with going to the beach. And I'll go in the water sometimes and fuck around with his kid Tucker, because like, he was like I was growing up, you know, he skimboards, you know, wants to get out there and boogie board and shit. So like that's fun to fuck around with. But like I was never a beach person.
I'm still not. Like when I went to Oregon I liked better than Florida. But Oregon was so fucking chill. And the West Coast people, it's just a lot calmer, low-key vibe.
I want to go out to West Coast so bad because Jared was telling me, he's like, it's not a rat race there.
No, it's the exact opposite. Like here, I mean, people always say people are rude in the Northeast, but they're in a hurry.
Yes.
Like that's it. They're not rude. They're in a hurry.
Yeah.
So they don't got time
I never
for
looked
bullshit.
at it that way.
That's the way I always look at it. They're just not fucking around.
Yes.
Where everybody
driving everything.
That's why we have gas stations that have every fucking food you get 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
People are doing shit.
Shout out to Wawa.
Yeah, and no, Team Sheets. Team Sheets.
What's down by you? I thought you would be.
We have Wawa, Sheets, Rudders, Royal Farms.
Royal Farms not bad.
You got to get on the lingo, Rofo, son. Got to get that Rofo.
I'd rock a Royal Farms t-shirt.
Like Oregon, I went there. That was the first place I went. Here's the kick in the dick for both these trips. All right, so I go there to kind of get past bullshit.
How did you set the whole thing up?
I was gonna go to New Mexico.
But did you set up all the travel and everything?
No, I just got a plane ticket and a car.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then just rambled. That's all I ever do. I just fucking wander around. I mean, when I lived in Oklahoma the whole time, that's all I did. I would on the weekends, there's not too much to see in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Ed's buried in Oklahoma.
So when you got there, then you figure out, all right, well, I got to find a place to stay. Or did you look at Airbnbs at all?
The first night I got a yurt on a beach.
What does that mean?
Like they have like these fucking gazebos, but they have canvas over them.
Yeah.
But they're heated.
But how did you find that?
I just fucking looked up parks like yurts because I kept looking at them like on Instagram and shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll stay on one of them one night. So I stayed like on the beach.
How was that to stay in though? Not bad.
No, it was fucking cool. It had 3 beds. It was like $70 for a night.
Yeah. Well, I saw, because I was looking at Airbnb in Key West, because I kept looking places far out, and then I was like, well, why don't I, instead of trying to go to fucking the Bahamas, why don't I do something realistic where I can be back in a day or two? And there was like a tree house for like $70 a night Airbnb, and I was like, yo, I could. And then when you're by yourself and you don't have to listen to someone be like, oh, there's got a I don't want to stay. Get out of here.
I stopped at a Walmart and got a sleeping bag and a pillow.
Yeah.
The only shitty part was I had to take a shower outside and it was 42 degrees in the morning.
What did you do? Just go in the ocean?
No, there I went. They had showers. You like fucking pumped the thing and I went in that and I'm like, man, you know somebody's fucking pumping off in this at some point.
You should have.
So I'm not, at 42 degrees, I'm not doing shit. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But it was.
Was the water hot for a shower?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that they had, like, I went hiking around here and there was like a campground or like a facility inside the hiking area where they had showers and it was like a truck stop. You know what I mean? Where you go in and I was like, I didn't know they had all this shit. I'm like, I could be taking the fucking van places and like just bringing enough shit and then showering there and like going on these fucking hikes.
Out there, it would be like younger guys and girls in those Subarus with like the turtle campers on top, and they just put the seats down and they were just driving around and doing that, like taking showers and campgrounds and shit like that. But I mean, I stayed in that yurt in the park. That was Cape Disappointment. And the lady said, don't let the name fool you. This place is really nice. And the only fucked up part is we don't have oceans with cliffs. So all night you just hear like fucking cliffs, water just beating against them all night.
Oh, I would have fell asleep instantly.
It was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and I
need that white noise.
Every day I get up at sunrise no matter where I go. Because I want to see the sunrise every fucking morning. But then, I put 1,500 miles on a rental car in 5 days there. Just driving around.
What kind of car? You get something exotic?
No, I get a little piece of shit. I get the cheapest piece of shit they have. Like, it's just me, so what the hell do I care?
Yeah.
So I just drove around, found a natural hot spring. I drove 2.5 hours.
Yeah, there was that fucking broad in there. I thought that was so dangerous of her.
Like, I didn't have cell service for a fucking hour. So I go there and I'm like, where the hell is this? And I'm walking through the woods. I come back out because it was cold. And then I see this girl in a bikini walking around.
She was good looking.
Dude, she was real fucking cute.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? She goes, did you find the hot spring? And I just was like, are you out here by yourself? This is right after that Gabby girl got fucking disappeared. And she goes, yeah. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? I was like, you can't be approaching random dudes in the woods.
In a bikini.
Yeah. With a towel.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I'm going to go down here and look for it. If I come back, you're still here, I'll assume you found it and I'll go over on the other side. I said, if I find it, I'll come back and get you. And she was like, all right. So I go back, she's like waving, and there was like a lesbian couple sleeping in an old Dodge van out there. So they showed us where it was, and it was like under the mountain face. It was fucking weird. So like me and her walk down there. She goes, oh, I'm from St. Louis. I'm just driving back from LA. I didn't really like LA. I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
That's so crazy.
Okay. So then we get in the fucking hot spring. It's like 6 feet from the river. It's probably 110 degrees. It was super fucking nice. Then it's raining and shit. Me and her just kind of talking. Then two, what you expect, Pacific Northwest dirty hippies show up. Like the fucking baggy corduroy pants. Yeah. And I'm like...
Spin doctors.
I'm like... Little Miss can be wrong in all this fucking thing. So this guy, I'm like, these motherfuckers ain't got no towels is all I'm thinking. And next thing you know, dick's out. And then the guy's girlfriend gets fucking undressed, full bush, and
yeah,
they
I
just
was gonna say fucking
then
armpits fully haired.
Pulls fucking beers out of their pants, and guy goes, "We're a couple of hot spring sluts over here." I'm like, "What?" Is
That's a great T-shirt, Hot Spring Sluts.
It was awesome. And so they stayed in there for like 20 minutes, and they go, "Are you guys together?" We're like, "No." And then all I'm thinking is, I wonder if people fucking this all the time. Or
Absolutely,
something.
absolutely. I'm surprised they didn't start fucking in front of you.
It was real fucking odd.
Did you catch vibes off the chick?
No.
Yeah.
No, she was like, but
That's
like,
crazy to me, her doing that.
Like, as fucked up as it sounds, it's lucky somebody like me was there. And
Absolutely.
Not a real fucking weirdo.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm a little off, but I'm not rapey by any stretch of the fucking imagination.
No, I was talking to somebody about, because it was that chick you mentioned, the Gabby. She was the one where they went out in the Ford Transit and the boyfriend killed her or whatever. When they were looking for her, the amount of other dead bodies they found, like there was a list of it, and I was just like, dude, that's like shit nobody knows what happened.
Yeah.
Like, it's not fucking, as much as you think that you can't get away with that shit, there's a lot of people getting away with that shit on a daily basis.
I mean, it's like that girl was way too cute. Like, I got a thing for creative, wide-eyed fucking
Yeah, I
hippie
thought you
chicks.
would have fell in love with that.
Like, that's my shit. Like, that's my shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no. And then
should have got her number.
Every fucking person said that. I'm like, no, I didn't get no vibe like that at all. She was just a nice outfit.
And then how does that turn? Can I have your number?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I have your Facebook?
Dude, I've never approached a girl I don't know in my fucking life because I feel like a fucking creep.
Well, do you have a fear? I always have a fear of, and I think it happened as a kid when I asked somebody out, but I always have the fear of a rejection or like that feeling of, and I guess it's why I don't want to date anybody right now, is I'm trying to get back into it, but like it's so hard because the feelings come back. So then like, there's so much terrible shit that goes on there. Like there was a girl at the gym the other day who kept looking at me and I was like, oh, this chick seems like it'd be my type. Not my type. So like now I look for like no tattoos, your hair's a normal color. It's not fucking neon pink. So then like, I was like, oh, and then for one moment, I was like, I should just start a conversation with her. And then immediately my head flooded with like, she won't want to talk to you. That's just going to be horrible. She's going to tell you you're a loser. Yeah. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to look down.
Yeah, I don't ever do it. I never want to fucking do it.
Maybe when I was bartending, it was easier because you're interacting. So when I was doing that, it was like I was talking to people a lot. But unless I have a couple of drinks, I'm not asking anyone out.
I mean,
I've never asked anyone out.
You're supposed to have a guy conversation and be like, yeah, fuck that. But that's not the fucking fact. No. Like, I mean, I don't know how these fucking dickheads that take fucking pictures of themselves at the gym all the time just go up and talk to these girls. And more so, I don't understand how they have a fucking conversation because most of them don't have a goddamn thing to say ever.
No.
And they're not interesting at all. So, like, I have to get in a conversation to be able to do shit. Because if I get in a conversation, I'm it's enough, and I do enough dumb, interesting shit that most people don't. That
Yeah.
I do all right. But like,
yeah. Once the conversation started, I know, like, and especially if she starts laughing, I'm like, I got it. And then I was like, all right, cool. So just keep the jokes coming. And then, like you said, it's like, you know, especially now, because I used to be like, well, I make cheesesteaks, but I also have this podcast. So now to be like, well, you know, I do this for a living, and it's odd still saying it out loud, but it's like, I'm proud of the fact that I'm doing it. So that conversation goes well, but the fact that I don't ever start the conversation is always but then now it's like with the apps and everything, dating apps are a nightmare. I get more depressed going on there because I don't match.
Like, the shocking part to me about dating apps is you haven't heard a statistic of suicide increase by getting rejected from your fucking
Dude,
living
I was
room.
just getting matched with like EMTs from New Jersey with kids. I'm like, I'm good, man. I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be getting.
I won't even look.
I'll hang out and thinking I have a chance with a 10 instead of actually knowing that 4s like me.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I won't pay to where I see who likes me because I don't want to fucking know.
Yeah, but then all that shit's a scam too, because like I started like paying attention to what the fuck it was, and there's people that don't pay attention to that shit, but all it was fucking like they just take like data from like they'll just rip a bunch of shit from like people's Facebooks, because I'll to be like, hey, you were on here, and they're like, I didn't sign up for that, and then it's like, so all right, well, how much of this is real? How much of this is fake? How much of this am I matching with a bot? It'd be too easy to just fake that algorithm.
Oh.
And then I'm like, all right, well, now I don't trust dating apps. And my therapist used to always be like, we'll get on like eHarmony and that stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't really know anybody who's ever done that like that worked out. And then it's just like, I feel like then you just meet up with people who are too like, this is what I want. But then I don't know. Every time I dated somebody, I met them naturally. Whether it was through meeting them at a convention, whether it was through we started working together and it turned into more, whether it was through somebody approaching me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was never the type to be like, hey, what are you doing? And then now I just feel like I'm too old to be that person at a bar. Like, hey. I'm just waiting for it to naturally happen. And if it doesn't.
I don't think I've been to 20 bars in my life, and I don't fucking drink. Like, I went with a friend of mine Saturday, and a guy was shit hammered next to me, and I ordered a fucking diet soda, and the guy goes, what'd you get? And starts laughing. I'm like, it's 3 o'clock and you're shit faced. Like, maybe not laugh so fucking much, asshole.
Yeah. Well, when I wasn't drinking, I would just get just tonics with 3 olives in them, because when I would go to the bar, I would just drink too much soda, and then I would get the tonic and I put 3 olives in it, and then people would leave you alone. Like, it took a while. Like, I'd get a Shirley Temple, and they'd be like, what's that? Are you a homo drinking red juice? And I'm just like,
was it like the Departed? What are you on your period?
Yeah. Except for I didn't do anything. I just panicked and was like, I have a period.
I wouldn't know how to go up and approach somebody in a fucking bar and talk to them.
Yeah. Well, it's funny is after that scene, I started ordering cranberry juice, and then when someone would ask what it was, I'd be like, it's a natural diuretic, and then they would either get the reference or they would, would just turn stupid. But then I just got tired of it. Well, you're not drinking, and then it's just like so much easier, because like in the beginning it's like, well, I'm sober, and then it's like after years you're like, yeah, I'm not drinking, and then it turns into like you don't even want to deal with it.
I mean, it's weird. Like, when I went to Florida, I drank some because I went to a Christmas party, and that was the first time in 3 or 4 years I even had.
I don't, because you used to have the get-togethers. It was at your house, and then it was like Pecker and everybody would come over. But I don't think I've ever drank with you once.
No, probably not.
We went to a bar one time. It was maybe because I remember when I first met you, I was coming down with Nat, and then we were like going to Pecker's farm,
a beer or some shit like that. But like, I've never had a fucking cup of coffee. I've never had a cigarette. I don't really drink. It's fucking weird. Most people are more shocked about the coffee.
Cigarettes are terrible.
Fucking for a pack of fucking cigarettes.
Coffee I didn't get into till I started fucking cooking. Like, I started cooking, and then you'd start the day off, and then it'd be like, all right, we have like we were saying earlier with energy drinks. Yeah. It's like the same thing, except for, I don't know, there's pretty much an equal crash. I mean, at one point with my buddy Alessandro, we were working 12, 13-hour days, and we're working 6 days a week, and fucking you'd come in and you had to do it. Yeah. So we'd go through 2 pots of coffee, then he'd be like, oh, I'm going over. He's a vampire. I'm going over to.
He's a vampire.
That's my Sicilian accent. He'd be like, Michael, I'm going over to...
It's a fucking horrible Sicilian
It's
accent.
not terrible. That's why I said he's a vampire. He'd go over to the Wawa and he'd be like, you want energy drinks? I'd be like, yeah. And then he'd come back. But there was 3 of us running a restaurant with no help.
I'm glad I don't hear that. Because I stopped drinking them in April when I got sick last year. I stopped fucking drinking them just because I was
It's hard to get off
Man,
of them.
when I got sick, I'd slept 7 hours a week for 3 months.
Oof.
Yeah. So I'm like, they were like, are you drinking energy?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah. Like 7 hours a week for 3 months. I'm like, I won't even look at a fucking energy drink. Like,
No.
I just sit there and try to sleep.
A couple times I had them, and then when that hits you and you try and sleep at night and like you want to go to sleep and that's not letting you, it's one of the worst feelings ever.
Yeah.
Where was the first place you went when, so you stayed at the Yurt? Is that what they're called?
Yurt.
Yurt?
I don't even know what the fuck yurt means.
I don't know.
But it was like cheap.
Sexy tent, I think it is. Sicilian sexy tent.
Yeah, I went there. Here's the kick in the dick about both of them, all right? So you go there to try to clear your head, get over all the bullshit you get. The first place I went, I only stopped at places like little local places and then asked what kind of fucked up shit I could see. All right? So he tells me to see some landmark that was my fucking ex-girlfriend's name. Then I go to Florida like a month later, and her fucking name's iPhone is in the fucking Apple Play. I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like,
what is that Better Off Dead with John Cusack when he's driving and he just breaks up and it's like he's going through the radio stations. It's like, breaking up. And then it's just the next scene is the radio.
Like, I wish it was a
just
fucking joke.
Bro.
All I'm thinking is the universe has a nice way to kick you in the dick when you fucking least get it. Because as soon as I seen it, I was like, you motherfucker. Like, as soon as it happened. Yeah, I was looking at the world's largest squirting clam in Oregon. That's when that happened.
Yeah, because you went to a lot of, like you went and checked out Point Break.
Yeah.
Then you were doing all that shit.
Yeah, the end of Point Break, and I know you're a big Twilight guy.
Dude, I had to watch that movie with 4 different girlfriends.
That's on the same beach as fucking end of Point Break.
Was it?
And Goonies. They're all on the same beach.
Oh, the Goonies reference I knew. I didn't know that was the same beach.
Yeah, at the end of, I don't know, I've never seen fucking Twilight. I've seen Goonies, but it's been forever.
Yeah, dude, when that hit, it was every time the new one came out, I had a different girlfriend. I watched the entire series.
Ooh.
It was awful.
It's a miracle you're alive.
Yeah, Team Jacob.
But yeah, then the Goonies house and the school from Kindergarten Cop are in the same town.
Yeah. Yeah, because at one point you were like, you were posting like heavily, like, hey, I went here, I went here, I went here, I went here. And I was like, yo, that's like a lot of awesome shit to do.
It's all in a relatively little, I mean, I was going to stay in Portland and I didn't.
Do you like Portland?
No. Well, like when I got into Portland, I'm like, it can't be as fucked up as they say it is. You know what I mean? You just assume it's exaggerated. It's not. Like, before you even get in the fucking city, it's tents on the side of the highway.
That shit's crazy.
I was like, yeah, I'm not fucking staying here. I can already see the converters getting stolen off this fucking rental car. That's all I was thinking the whole time. They even had driveways with cars up to it. And like fucking little tarp garages over top of them. But Seattle, I drove up the whole Pacific coast because I just would get out and look at shit on the Pacific coast because it's real nice. Then I stayed in that yurt, drove to Seattle because I wanted to go to, they have a pop culture museum there.
Yeah.
I mean, and like, grunge was a big thing when we were fucking kids.
Huge.
So like, I wanted to go see all that shit.
Yeah,
So
Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden. I was all in high school when that shit was going on.
Yeah, I went and saw where Cobain shot himself.
Nice.
I went and saw where Lane Staley overdosed.
Nice.
And they're both alarmingly close to shit.
Yeah.
Like, you could see in the windows of Lane Staley's condo from a strip mall.
That's crazy.
That's what I said. I'm like, and motherfuckers were making money then. It wasn't streaming money. It was like people were buying tapes, albums, CDs.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that museum, they had like a whole...
Was the museum fun?
Man, they had a hip-hop photography section that would like one whole part was just that.
How big was it?
2 or 3 floors.
That's crazy. So it's like the same size as like when you go to like the Natural Museum of History or whatever in the city.
But they had one wing they had Hendrix Abroad, and they had like fucking napkins that he wrote song lyrics on. I'm like, who the fuck saves this shit?
Yeah.
But they had
Who finds that stuff?
Yeah, they had Eddie Vedder wrote every song he had every notebook, and they have that in a display there. I mean, they have a lot of shit. I mean, I was there 3 hours.
That's crazy.
But it was cool. And
Did
then
they have hot dogs there?
They did have hot dogs downstairs. But you couldn't eat them and walk around.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But then
was it crowded?
Kind of, because they said they just opened back up. This is the first event they had.
Yeah. You were still traveling in like the gray area.
Yeah. But I walked around Seattle. I mean, I went and I figured I always
How was Seattle to walk around?
the nicest fucking city I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I always say I'm going to get one nice hotel while I'm gone. And then the rest of them I can stay in shitholes. And I don't care. So I stayed in one in the middle of town on like the 30th floor and just walked around till 1 in the morning. Got up at 6 and watched.
Did you get good food?
Yeah. I mean, I just ate whatever local places were in walking distance. But everywhere there, because I got fucking celiacs. So every place up there is full of cute hipster chicks that have all gluten-free food.
Yes.
And I'm like, every place I went, I'm like, for fucking real? They go, yeah, everything. We have everything gluten-free. I'm like, is this fucking heaven? Like, it's cute girls with different color hair.
Now you find a girl out there that's interesting. You have a mutual understanding, and you go to Seattle every once in a while.
Yeah, and they eat gluten-free fish and chips. I never even had fish and chips, and I ate that.
Yeah, that's got to be cool when you get to those cities and you could actually eat shit.
Wow, and then I try to eat shit that would be good there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't want to eat stuff like home.
No, like I primarily only have seafood when we go on vacation.
Yeah.
Because it's like fresh, and I worked in restaurants. I know that the fish place is just getting frozen.
I mean, I did watch them. I was watching them unload boats in the morning at like the public market.
See, that's the stuff that when I was in Virginia, I used to do stuff like that because I guess I knew I was inevitably not going to stay there. It just didn't feel right. And I wanted to be home the whole time. But when I was there, I was like, all right, well, let's do everything you would do in Virginia. So it's like I had a couple of jobs. I dated this vegan hipster chick, and she rode bikes. I got into riding bikes, and I parked my car. I moved into the museum district or the art district in Richmond, and I rode my bike everywhere. It was awesome. It was like, you know what I mean? Like I was traveling on a bike from job to job, and like I was living in an apartment that had a spiral staircase, and like I knew people down there, and like I went to the museums. Went to the hiking areas. Did everything that you could do in Richmond, and it was awesome, and it was an awesome experience. And when I go traveling places, like how you're saying you did it is what I want to do, and what I've done before is like, even when I go up to Scranton, it's like I'm just trying to find like, all right, well, what's the best spot here? Like when we go out there for the tattoo convention, I would get a hotel room and would splurge on that for the weekend, but I would set up my booth. But then in the off time, it's like, oh, I'm seeing, all right, well, what coffee shops around here? All right, well, where's the best place for lunch? Oh, well, they have a food truck night. Oh, yeah. So it's like you go experience what most people take for granted because they live somewhere. I
mean, like most of the stuff, they have an app for your phone that tells you where like weird shit is.
I do like that.
But like they have like, I mean, you got to pay for it, but it's worth it one trip.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, like Florida, they have a sign in a park that says first white man dies in America.
What?
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck? I'm going to see that. And a buddy of mine was with me, goes, we're going to see that? I'm like, yeah, before they take that motherfucker down.
Did you meet up with people when you went to cities?
When I went to at the Pacific Northwest, I met with one person.
Yeah.
I mean, I drove like a motherfucker the whole time. Like, I mean, you've seen Animal House.
Yeah.
Like that black bar that they take the sorority girls from. Like
yeah,
I went and ate in there. It's a barbecue place. So I left the bar and ate in there.
How was the barbecue?
It was fucking good.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like, give me half a chicken. Or no, I ordered a quarter chicken, ribs, and something else. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to fucking eat all this. This is all I was thinking. But then I thought about giving it to a fucking bum when I was on the way back. But
did you?
No, fuck no.
Just
I ate driving around. No, I ate it.
You piece of shit. Yeah. Get your life together. No, you stopped at some rad spots, and we had talked before that where I think it's awesome that you're doing that and fucking taking pictures and just fucking traveling. It was definitely benefiting your mental. Yeah. 100%.
Like, it's more therapeutic than people give it credit for. And then all anybody says was, it didn't even look like you relaxed. I'm like, I was like, just randomly doing shit.
First of all, I thoroughly enjoy a fucking long car ride where you're just listening to music and you're not fucking bothered by anyone.
I mean, I get out every once in a while when you see something close that's right off the highway. Like, before I spent half a day on the fucking WACO compound.
Yeah, how was that?
Fucking weird.
So is that like a museum now?
No. It's still a church.
It's still a church?
And people still live there.
But is it still like their cult?
No. Well, it was Seventh-day Adventist. It's not a cult anymore. But
I mean, was it ever really one?
I mean, it's hard to say.
Dude, that was, I want to get into this for a little bit here because I'm so intrigued by Waco. I watched 2 documentaries on it, and the one that was on Netflix was actually kind of making it seem like that guy definitely shouldn't have been fucking kids and all that kind of stuff, but like, as far as what he was trying to do there, that like the FBI stepped on and like caused that whole thing to happen, and like the shooting that happened, because at first they showed where there was like that compound where they like just killed that family and the guy's wife died in the woods.
Oh, Ruby Ridge.
Yes, and then they went over, like, first of all, like, they were doing whatever they were doing, but you still can't come on somebody's property and just shoot their wife. So, like, so then when they showed that happen, and then showed that because of that stemmed into this being that fucked up where all those people died, it was a really interesting. It was kind of eye-opening to be like, oh, well, that's not kind of how I learned how that went on at all. Because I remember, I think I was in high school, and they were showing that going down on fucking Channel 1.
Yeah, for like
you know what I mean?
For like a month.
Yeah.
But it's still a gravel road and all, and it looks just like it did when we were younger.
Are you allowed to, like, drive up there, or did you just drive up?
They have an Oklahoma City bombing memorial there.
Yeah.
Because the guy that did that spent some time there, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I guess the foundation for the house they left. So there's like a big fucking hole where the house was they burned down.
That's crazy.
And then I was there, I mean, for a while, just looking around, and I talked to a couple of people, and then the guy started.
What did the people talk to you
They just
about?
were like,
hey,
they didn't.
hi.
I didn't ask them about any of that shit.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
just, like, they're like normal, like, I mean, like normal church.
Did they
people.
ask why you were there?
No, they know why you're there.
Yeah.
Like fucking same reason everybody's there.
Yeah.
But now they sell swag and shit.
Ooh.
Like after all the documentaries
Did you get
came
a
out.
shirt?
Fuck no, they didn't sell that shit then. But like, I mean, like normal church, older religious people are generally super nice to talk to.
Yeah.
As long as you don't cuss in front of them.
Yep.
Like that's the
They
thing.
still care about that.
Yeah. They'll just sit and talk to you, and they're nice people. When the guy started burning trash, it freaked me the fuck out, and I left. Like, once there was like a cloud of smoke burning trash, it freaked me out, and I fucking left.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because I remember you over the years would bring up WACO and all that. What do you think happened there?
I think, like you said, it's government overstepping bounds, and it backfired, and then you can't backpedal, so now you have to fucking do something, and it all went to shit.
All went to shit. It was a fucked up.
He definitely shouldn't have been. A lot of shady shit was going on that somebody should have been doing something about.
Yeah.
But not that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I watched a couple on it. You know what was another good one? Was Tread, that guy who loses his mind and built the tank.
I didn't see. Oh yeah,
Or
yeah.
Dozer it was called, or something.
Killdozer.
Killdozer. Yeah, that's another good
Yeah,
one to watch.
it was funny because I went to Wake.
Because everyone's been at that breaking point. Because I always say, hats off to you, my friend. Like, you actually, like, everyone's been there, road rage, whatnot, but at a job you fucking hate.
Yeah.
Somebody trying to fuck over your land, or like, there's always somebody trying to take your shit. Like, it doesn't happen every year, but I've been in positions where it's like, dude, don't fuck with my stuff. Like, what are you trying to, where your temper goes, but to be pushed to that point where you're like, you know what I'm gonna do is build a tank.
and it take months to lock yourself in a shop and just build this fucking thing.
Yeah. And everyone's like, what's he doing? Meanwhile, he's like eating ramen and Twinkies, and he's like, I'll get him. What's more, like, and that's why I said his credit to the person is there's got to have been times where he just kind of take it doesn't. How long does it take to build that?
I think they said it took like 2 months.
Yeah. So like, take a look at you doing a project, or I'm getting into something. You always have those breaks where you're just like, you come down a little bit because like, you're building and whatnot. So you're kind of like hanging in that break zone, or even when you're at work and you have a 5-minute break and you just kind of like, yeah. All right, well, I got to get back to work. Like, there had to have been times where the guy's like totally normal and like made a phone call, and he's like,
probably went out to eat with people, didn't tell them shit, and then goes back in there.
Yeah, he's like, all right, I got to work tonight. Well, I'm in the shop working on a project. Meanwhile, it's fucking making a killdozer.
It was like that weekend I went to Waco. I wanted to see the JFK shooting first.
How was that?
It was weird.
Did you watch the new documentary that Oliver Stone put out?
No, not yet.
I want to, but I tried to listen to the Rogan podcast, but it was like so much serious information where I'm like, I don't have an attention span. I might watch the documentary.
There's tons of people selling conspiracy shit there.
Yeah.
But they have X's in the road from where each bullet hit him, which seems super fucking inappropriate.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they have the grassy knolls on a big sign. Like, that's the kind of shit where like, oh, this is kind of fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But it's when you see it, I'm like, oh, he made the shot. It's like, it's not that fucking far when you stand there looking at it.
What do you think happened?
I don't know. The only other thing that
Did you go to museums on that, or was it just kind of like you
no?
checked
Because
it out?
I said, well, I went to go get into the fucking building, and I said, can I sit in the window? And the lady goes, what do you mean? Can I sit in the window that he took the shot from? She goes, no. I'm like, well, then why would I pay $20? Like, I want to lay in the window. And I want
So
to
do they walk you by the window, or
They
anything?
have it set up with like the lunch or whatever the fuck he had, just like it did when he was there.
Oh, that's
they have
cool.
It recreated. But if you can't see out the window, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of the thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not paying $25 for that. So I just went in, looked around, left. They have like a museum there.
Yeah.
But then people are selling bullshit outside. Yeah. Then I seen the signs for WACO.
And what area was that?
That's in Dallas.
Yeah. Did you like Dallas?
Dallas is nice. The building from RoboCop that looks like a microphone's in Dallas.
Nice.
And Bonnie and Clyde are buried in Dallas.
Oh, Bonnie and Clyde. That was another fun one to watch. Documentary
Dallas is
stuff.
nice. It's weird, but it's nice. Like Austin, I don't like as much now. But like, I wanted to go to Austin. I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm going to see the JFK shit. Then I seen Waco. But all the stuff from Dazed and Confused was in Austin.
What area is being completely overrun now? Austin? And is that with like the tents and stuff now too?
Yeah, but Austin, the first time I went was probably 8 years ago. And it was like Austin when it was like artsy Austin.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
What's that festival they used to have there?
They still do. South by Southwest.
Yeah.
But like, they had a big tech boom before everybody started moving there. And it just, every time you go, it's like less Austin-y.
Yeah, because Musk upped and moved his whole fucking thing there.
They do have a giant fleshlight factory or store.
I'm a fan of the fleshlight.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm pro fleshlight.
Have you fucked a fleshlight?
I have, and I told this story to my friends the other day. The only downside of a fleshlight is when you have to look at yourself in the mirror when you're cleaning
That's
it.
the problem.
Yes.
No. That's why I won't do it. That's why I wouldn't get a dial, nothing. Like, if I'm in a sink in that post-nut clarity cleaning jizz out of a fucking flashlight.
Yeah, that was the downfall. But I was like a kid in Christmas. You know, it comes in the mail, and I'm like...
Literally.
Yeah, it came in the mail, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And then, you know, it was like, you know what? It was very, and it's hard to get these feelings anymore. It was very similar to back in the day when you would get Girls Gone Wild in the mail.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that porn wasn't that accessible.
You know what? Kids are getting ripped off because you remember when you were a kid,
yeah,
you would hide a Playboy at somebody's
in the
fucking
woods.
house. It was like the fucking gold mine. Like now what?
Or you got to get into your brother's fucking stash, or you know what I mean? Like that would be always hit when I would find my older brother's porno mags.
Like now it's like,
and then we got like, because I had brothers that were 11. My one brother's 11 months apart, so it's like, what do you think was going on in that house? So it's like then you start being like, yo, where's the smut? And it's like in the deer hunting coat in the back where you like put the warmer.
Like now you just get it on your phone so easy.
Yeah.
It takes all the fucking challenge.
It takes all of it out of it.
I'm gonna say this, and this is gonna be an unpopular opinion. I feel like this devalues your relationships with women because it's so easy to see them naked now.
It's got to be for the kids growing up because like it's normal to like send fucking nudes. Like I remember when it was hard to get nudes off of chicks, and I was good at doing it, and like, you know, or just like girls you're gonna date and be like, yo, what do you know, like,
I've never been
sexting wasn't a thing. I was great at it. And then there was a point where it just became normal where you wouldn't have to put the effort in, and they would just
sexting's a whole
send
different thing. The sexting I could get going. The pictures I would never ask for because I feel like, and then I delete them right after I would get them.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid my phone's gonna get fucking lost or something. And I don't want to be a piece of shit that these things get taken out.
Yeah. There was a couple phones I had where they just broke, and I was like, man, there's a lot of awesome stuff on that. But then it just became commonplace, you know, especially Snapchat where like it disappears. So like those kids are growing up where like it's just totally normal. It's got to be weird going through all that crap now. But yeah, when the flashlight came in the mail, that was...
Did you name it?
No, it was after like...
Did you get the random slot or actually something that looked like something?
I don't remember because it was so long ago, and then I lost it in my parents' basement, so I don't know if like they found it or...
You know something? You gotta feel bad. Like your parents...
Because I moved, and like I had a bunch of shit, and sometimes my dad would just go through it and just throw all my stuff out.
Imagine your parents had a blackout and they find that instead of a flashlight.
Yeah, it definitely looked like a flashlight.
And it just drips.
Yeah, but then I think like I said, you have that moment where you look up, and I'm just like standing there, you know, out of breath, just like cleaning this fucking thing. And I'm just like, maybe I should have just took it into the shower where you wouldn't see yourself. And then after a couple of those, it was before you would go to use it, you would know, and you would know what's coming, and that's the shame.
Depression.
That's the shame.
Shame is not even the word for it.
Yeah, and then I grew up with you know the Catholic. I was talking to my buddy about like the Catholic guilt and all that shit. So like it doubled down on me. There was probably like a cross in the bathroom, like Jesus looking down on me. What are you doing, Michael?
Yeah,
washing cum out of a fucking plastic rubber.
I would say like if I get to that level. That's a fucking low. I don't want to fucking...
It wasn't a bad time, man. Got me through a hump. But now they make ones that are like they move for you. Yeah. So now you're just like fucking a robot. No,
I'm good.
No, I would rather hold yours.
You would definitely not rather do that.
No, I'm pro flashlight. I think you know what it was too is that was like the first big podcast sponsor. So they kept like, you know, it was on Rogan had flashlight for a while. But I'm saying is like for the amount of times you hear it and then you're like, oh, you start hearing it every day. You're like, is it really taboo to do this?
I'm not anti flashlight. Yeah. I'm just not doing it because of how I feel like I would feel afterwards.
Yeah, it wasn't like as far as like what they're supposed to do, it was close.
It's easy enough.
It was close.
It's easy enough to feel like shit about yourself. I don't need that involved. In
Yeah,
that fucking
no.
help.
Every time anyone brings it up, I'm always honest about the fleshlight.
You
I
might
don't
as well
fucking
be.
care. I mean, I know people who fucked blow up sheep.
What the fuck? I'm not doing any of that. None of it. None of it.
So, you checked out Goonies, all that shit.
Yeah.
And then where'd you go after that?
I stayed in the yurt after that because that was like in northern or central Washington-ish.
I wonder how it would be with good weather to stay on the.
I mean, I feel like it didn't. It rained every day, and I'm like
Seattle?
Yeah, I was like, this is what I figured it was going to do. I went
Yeah.
to the house to the high school from 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, you're a big movie guy, so when you were doing all that shit, I was like, oh, that's so much fun to follow.
Yeah, that I would go, and there's like a whole website to tell you where shit's filmed at.
Yeah.
So if you know something is in the area, it's fuck. I did want to go all the shit from Vision Quest, but that was kind of far.
So where did you go after the high school thing?
I drove to. That's when I drove to the hot spring. Was after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I figured I'd drive up the coast and then drive through the middle of the fucking state. But I did go to. I went to Mount St. Helens because I wanted to see that. That's a park now, and you can see all the fucking lava shit. That was kind of fucking cool.
Yeah.
But it was cold as shit up there. But yeah, like I would go see some of that.
How long were you gone for?
5 days I was there.
Yeah. See, and that's not even that long. Like, you got so much shit done.
I mean, I put 1,500 miles in my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I stayed in Eugene one night. I wanted to see the original Team Quest, and I forgot about it, or I ran out of time. But I ate, and when I walked down the main street to Westland, so I could feel like Uncle Chael.
Yeah.
I did that. What the fuck else did I go see there?
Did you go anywhere super bougie?
No, I don't ever do anything super bougie.
I just didn't know if you like passed through any towns or anything.
I mean, Seattle's kind of bougie. They have a fucking Carhartt store in the middle of the city, and like
That's so crazy.
it's like that's the same thing I thought. Like, didn't they sell that shit at TSC?
There's no way that they don't have more sales now for fashion than they
There's
do for
no
work.
fucking way. Because when I saw the fancy store, like I took a picture of it because it was so weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is awful fucking nice for who wears Carhartt shit. But then you're right. Now you see girls with Carhartts on like all the fucking time.
I mean, it's great stuff. It'll keep you warm. I always had my dad's Carhartt shit just because he would like hunt and then, work and shit like that.
I don't think about the hotel I stayed in was kind of bougie. Because they asked me, they said when I went to the desk, it's kind of expensive. And I'm like, oh. And then I'm thinking, oh yeah, I only wear work pants all the time.
Yeah.
Because I always wear fucking red cap pants. And I'm a red cap snob, not Dickies. So
Have you ever been to New Orleans?
yes.
Do you like New Orleans?
I was there for a couple
I
months.
guess that's
working
how
at a shop.
not bougie, but like I like a historic kind of cool vibe like that,
think a
where it's a
couple-
little bit uppity, where you can get into some good food.
I was down there for a couple months, and yeah, the food was fucking amazing. I stayed with Pascal from Safelite commercials.
What?
That's who I stayed with when I was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy with the beard that's on all the Safelite commercials. That's who I stayed with in New Orleans.
Did you like New Orleans?
It was odd. It was like kind of like East Coast City where it was kind of dirty.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I mean?
it definitely has a Philly dirt vibe to
Except
it.
wider roads.
Yeah.
It's weird being off the East Coast and cities have wide roads. Like the only city that really feels like a city is like Chicago feels like a city.
I've never been to Chi-Town. I would really want to go.
But the streets are real wide. And they have hot dogs everywhere. You love hot
know,
dogs, but
I do.
no ketchup.
Why don't they have
They
ketchup?
fucking have signs that they don't want to put ketchup on their shit.
So what is it, mustard?
Yeah.
What do they do, mustard, and they put
Poppy seed rolls.
Poppy seed
And then
roll.
whatever other bullshit.
mayo, probably.
It's just,
Yeah, I went to New Orleans when I was probably like 15, 16.
what are those pastry things they have down there?
Beignets?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he took me to get those on like Sunday morning. But I will say that I ate fried shrimp almost every fucking day when I was there.
See, when I was young and I was going down there because I was really fucked up in high school and my parents were looking for like a better alternative. And at the time, my cousin Bill was running a school for ADHD kids and kids with learning disabilities. And then I had to fly out to see what it was. And my mom thought it was an academy. And when we got out there, it was like a camp, like you would see like a summer camp, like from Jason. And then like they taught the kids in a room, and I just remember it being so weird, and I didn't know what it would feel like if my mom left and then like I had to be there. So when we stayed there, we stayed in a cabin that like the kids stay in, and their cockroaches are like flies here. So my mom like freaked out and was like, I can't leave you here. Like she would have been, I think at that point where I mentally was, I would have been okay with living in New Orleans. But like sometimes I look back on that moment and I was like, that would have completely changed my entire life if I would have stayed in New Orleans.
It's too fucking humid.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing is like, well, my cousin was cool, so like he took us to like as soon as we got off the plane, he was like, all right, we're gonna go to Bourbon Street, and it's kind of like the like the Mardi Gras all year. It's just not as big as a party.
Yeah.
So like he took us to the street, and I remember trash blew by me and stuck to my leg, and then like I was too young because I didn't like food back then, like where I was still like young enough where I was like, I'm not trying that. So I just kept being like, where's a cheeseburger? And he's like, dude, you got to get into like
Po' boys.
the po' boys and the seafood. And I was like, nah. And then I talked to Shivey, and he was like, dude, when I went, he's like, I ate a shrimp po' boy every single day.
And you get them at the gas station, and they're good as shit down there. Yeah.
But I liked that area though. Like that was like they had like Anne Rice's house and like seeing the graveyards with like above ground. Like there was a lot of really fucking cool shit there. I'd like to go back.
I seen where Jane Mansfield got killed there.
See, I like that you like to find interesting things while you're there, because some people will just go and they hit the touristy spots, or like my brother will travel sometimes and then not go check anything out, and he's like, well, I'm just at like the work hotel that they put us in.
But I always go see,
like, why wouldn't you go check out anything?
I always go see weird shit, and that's what I tell people when I do all this
but that's where you start seeing cool stuff in the city.
Almost everything I do is free.
Yeah. Well, there's the one girl I had on, she put out a book, she's in DC, and that all it is like all this crazy weird history that actually happened. But then what happened is the book got popular, and now she started actually giving tours, and she's like, dude, come down one weekend. She's like, it's just random bizarre shit that like happened where like, you know, somebody was murdered, there was like a treasure thing here, like Skull Society stuff. Like there's so much history in cities and so much cool places to see, but like most of the time when people travel, they're not checking shit out, or either they're going somewhere where they're like, I just want to be in the Bahamas.
Yeah, or they just want to sit on their ass the entire time. Like that's just not that fun to me.
No.
But like weird shit is more fun to see. But like you got to be on a schedule. That's the other thing. People want to be on a fucking schedule where we're gonna stay here. We're gonna stay here.
My mom used to always do that when we were kids, traveling for like Disney and all that shit. And I think it's why I hate being on a fucking schedule anymore.
Yeah.
Because even when we go to the beach, it's like, you know, we get a house with a bunch of different people, and there's no regimen at all. Like it's like, hey, I'm going to the beach at this time. So in the morning you find out what everybody's doing, but we'll probably do like one dinner to go out. But most of the time it's like, hey, somebody's making food back by 6 if you want to come back. If not, stay on the goddamn beach and get drunk all day. There isn't. You do whatever you want, and that's so much more relaxing than being like, okay, today we're going to mini golf. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And then it's like your vacation is becoming more stress than your actual goddamn daily routine that you were trying to get away from.
Yeah. I mean, like Oregon, all I did was drive. Florida, the first 2 days, I stayed at a buddy of mine's house outside Tampa. And then we drove to a Christmas party. And then when we came back, I got a rental car and I stayed at a beach resort one night and just got up, watched the sunrise on the beach.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's weird for me to be on a beach just because it's been, I mean, my parents have a fucking condo at the beach.
You looked uncomfortable
It
on
was
the beach.
It was awkward for me.
You're awkward.
Yeah.
You're awkward on the beach.
Yeah, big time. Like I'm fucking almost powder white.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm gonna start doing some kind of magic bullshit like that fucking movie.
What a great movie that was.
That's a fucking lie. That movie was a piece of total shit.
I remember. I don't remember what. I would love to go back and watch movies that like. You know, when that came out, that was like a big thing. Like they were like, "Oh, an albino guy with special powers." But it sold it to everybody. You know what I mean? It was a different way of selling movies and things back then. And I remember watching it with my parents. Like I think we rented it. That was like when you'd go to Blockbuster and it'd be like you'd just see the cover of Powder take up the main wall, new releases.
That might have been the same time as they do like Simon Birch and shit. Too.
Yeah. There was a time when and you know what's eating Gilbert Grape fucking started all that stuff. You know, you'd have
I forgot about that.
Yeah, man. They brought the tartars out of the basement back then.
No, I'm telling you right now, Life Goes On did that.
Yeah.
And then they all branched from there.
Everyone always gives me shit, and I'm just like, yo, dude, like I grew up where, you know, they were kept in basements.
See, I can't say that shit because my aunt has Down syndrome.
Yeah.
So like when people get like offended, I'm like, my whole life I've never been around someone with Down syndrome. They go, what do you mean? I go like, it's more insulting to fucking treat people like that different or like they can't do
Yeah.
shit than it is to say retarded.
Yeah, I don't, and that's to my point, is where when people are like that, like my buddy, his father took in 2 Down syndrome people, so I was young, and I became comfortable at a young age, that especially back then when there's no knowledge or anything on it, like we were introduced to it, and they treated them normal, and they would ride along with us places, and they'd say stuff, and I was like, oh, all right. And then when we would do cleaning jobs, you would have to go into these facilities, and my mom was always a nurse, so then I just became around it, and I was comfortable with it. But
my aunt,
but when people give me shit about it, I'm like, yeah, that's dumb shit. Me and my brothers used to call each other, and I'm like, I'm not changing that.
like my aunt makes food, does a bunch of stuff, like can't add up shit and doesn't know the value of money. But like when people say that shit or talk to her like she's stupid, I'm like, no. She understands.
Yeah.
Or she used to, like my grandmother, I think my mom's one of 10 or 11.
That's so crazy.
So you would go there for like holidays, and my aunt lived with my grandmother till my grandmother passed away. Like they would go, get your aunt something to drink. I'm like, why would I get my aunt something to drink? She goes, she can get her own drink. I'm like, you're not tricking me into thinking that you can't get up and get your drink. But she still will do that shit.
Yeah.
Because she knows she can get it. But my aunt has never, my aunt and my grandmother have never heard me cuss. So if you ask them, I don't cuss ever.
You don't cuss?
And my aunt, my grandma and my aunt have
My
never.
mom still yells at me for swearing.
Yeah.
It's a bad habit I developed. I think one of my friend's moms used to let us swear, and we started overly swearing just to be like we could say it, and then it turned into a bad habit, and then I started using it to describe everything, and there was a couple years where I just started saying fuck so much.
I feel like that's a Northeast thing too.
Yeah, just fuck that, fuck this. I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Like it's the most way to express you're frustrated.
That's true.
And then I'm constantly frustrated, so why wouldn't I say fuck all the time? Like,
Yeah, that's it. My aunt.
try running a business and dating impossible women. You're gonna say fuck
A
constantly.
whole lot, or at least you're going to yell it once a day.
Yeah, I don't, and then I'll say it. My parents are like, my mom will be like, "Can you just at least try to not say it around me?" And I'm like, I don't know, I'm saying it.
No, my dad. Well, I mean, I was raised in shops, so it's said all the time. But like, my parents say it still in front of my aunt. I don't.
Yeah,
and my aunt will say
it's just a
potty mouth.
different way I grew up. I don't know. I sometimes I'll just say tartars and that for shock value. Just to upset people. But like, I don't.
People get overly upset about that kind of shit.
Yeah,
now.
I treat everybody.
But I don't want to hear somebody get overly upset, like I said, while treating someone like they're fucking helpless.
Yeah. I don't
it's
know. I'm that way with my brother's kids and shit like that too. Is like I keep like. I act like that, how you were explaining, where like you act like somebody's helpless. Like I like with Tucker and Violet or any of my nieces, Abby, I talk to them like the regular people.
I mean, you're hurting them if you don't.
Yes. I'm like, I don't know. I've always been like that with everybody. I've always treated everybody on an uneven platform. And the only way I swing differently is if, one, you're trying to take something from me. Two, if like you start treating me like shit, or like, what we've been talking about with fucking girls and shit, where like if you treat me as like, that's when like I'm not okay with who you are as a person. But like other than that, we're even across the board until you do dumb shit to me. That's how I judge everybody.
It's a weird place with girls, especially, like, because now that's all the fucking know your worth, and I agree, but based on your life choices, how the fuck do you expect to get treated?
Yeah, I also started recently like blocking or like unfollowing women who put proud mama.
I mean, I guess it's one thing.
But this is like the stuff that like we text each other and be like, yo, like I'd screenshot and be like, how many times do you see this and the person's a garbage pile?
That's the problem. Like, it's a fucking lie. And when you tell them, I do the exact opposite. I tell them, I go, really? And I'm like, what about this, and this?
Yeah.
Or people say like, that's a really nice guy. I go, didn't that guy used to steal fucking tailgates? Yeah. And then they just look at me and I go, yeah, he steals fucking tailgates.
I do like doing that to people when, cause and like, it's like, I'll get into something with somebody like that and they'll be like, oh, so-and-so was nice. And I was like, really? And then they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, doesn't that guy like fuck people behind his wife's back, or like, or vice versa? Or doesn't that chick cheat on her husband all the time?
You could say like fuck all the time and cuss all the time. That doesn't mean you have shit character.
Yeah.
And more people have shit character than don't. People are generally really fucking disappointing.
Absolutely.
And as much as I don't want to act like it is, it is. It's
I cut the pack out, like and especially when I get older, like you just start really keeping like, I talk to you, I talk to Nat, like I talk to my buddy Kevin, like I have a couple people that I still talk to that I just have relationships over the years, whether it's sending memes in a group or it's sending smut back and forth or like, busting balls. But then like, it's not worth the time anymore to meet people.
No. I mean, I tell people this all the time.
And I don't know if it's just because I'm in my 40s and I don't care anymore, but
I probably talk to the same less than 10 people.
Yeah.
And I tell people this all the time. Like, I'm not fun to be around a lot of the time, but I'll make you better as a friend, or if you're with me, dating me, I'll make you better because I'm not going to tolerate being around fucking complacency.
Yeah.
I will make you better, and you'll be pissed about it sometimes, but I'm never going to be like...
It's good to have friends like that, though, that like hold you accountable for shit, or like I have friends that'll be like, hey, dude, like, my one friend sat me down and was like, hey, man, like, I'm just saying this out of concern, but you've put on a massive amount of weight. And I was like, I know. And he's like, I'm just letting you know, like, it's time you start doing something about it. And then I remember, like, a lot of times I'll have conversations with friends like that, and it is good to be put in check. And then like in the back of my head I was like, wow, like that was super uncomfortable. But then when I'm riding home, I'm like, yeah, but that's what you keep telling yourself, is that you want to lose weight.
I mean, you don't want somebody to be a complete asshole.
No, they were not.
That's what I mean. Like there's a line.
There's fat shaming that I enjoy doing with my friends, but then there's also like when somebody's out of general concern, or like back in the day when people would be like, hey man, like you all right with the booze? Like having those conversations that people don't want to have. And then I've had those conversations with people. I've had friends OD. I've had friends, you know what I mean? Like where sometimes where I'm like, oh, that person's talking to me how I used to talk to other people whose lives weren't going that great. Maybe there's something I should start readjusting.
One of my friends a couple years ago drank himself to death.
Yeah, it's a horrible, horrible thing to watch.
And I remember being at his funeral and everybody going, he was ready to go. I go, he was 36. And they go, what? I go, I'm like, you motherfuckers realize you contributed to this. And then people are looking at me like, I was like, I've been listening to it for a while. And I finally got the shits of fucking hearing it.
Yeah.
This is partially your fault for not, because he would come to my house drunk. Because he goes, I thought a cop was behind me. I'm like, well, don't fucking drink and drive. I'm like, if you want to come here, just come here and hang out.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not going to get shit-faced here because I'm not fucking letting it happen.
Yeah. Plus, when you're sober and somebody's drunk around you, there's few and far between that are more annoying.
People that are going to let you do that and watch it aren't your fucking friends.
Yeah.
And that's a hard pill to swallow for people.
No. My one friend, Keith, we'll be like doing podcasts, or we'll be on gaming and shit. And then I'll be like, he'll like hear one of us drinking, and he always calls us out on it, and I'm glad he does, because sometimes you ignore it, or sometimes you hang out with other people that like to drink, but like what I've been through with having to stop, my whole thing was like I got back to a normal balanced thing that I control. It was so refreshing now to see. Sometimes when I do drink too much, I'm like, all right, let's cut back. But now I knew I could quit because I did 10 years. So it's like now I know what the possibilities of that are and what the benefits of that are. So I can go towards feeling better because I know I felt better. But like as much as it's terrible, I love having those friends that, because he'll be like, because then now what sometimes I'll do is I'll be like, oh, well, maybe Friday night I'll have a drink. And then I'm like, well, I could just hop on Xbox and play video games with Keith and not feel like shit tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, you have that outlet of the friend who's like, because you're basically telling him, hey, I'm here for you. Like, you can come out and hang out with me if you don't want to get fucked up and be stupid and fucking keep wasting your time.
I mean, it's odd. People will come by my place and just like talk about all their shit a lot.
Well, you're a good listener and you give advice.
But like when I've gone to do the same, like nobody fucking listens.
Well, see, what the problem is that a lot of times people don't have the advice to give. Or like sometimes I'll give people advice, but I'm just repeating shit I heard because I did 20 years of therapy.
I mean, most of the time when I do it, like if I like when I got real sick, like my testosterone like doubled normal.
What were you doing? Just punching drywall?
I would not sleep.
Yeah.
I lost 52 pounds in 6 weeks. And then fucking they didn't know why. And then I would just be like, you remember those old Roid Rage documentaries?
Yeah,
where,
Ben
like,
Affleck.
Yeah, and they would be like mass depression crying. It was
Yeah.
all that. The one night I sat up till 2 a.m. and talked myself out of shooting myself. Till 2 a.m. I'm just sitting there telling me this isn't real, this isn't real, this isn't real. Because I'm like, this isn't me. Like, this isn't fucking happening. What the fuck's going on? And then that shit with the same time as fucking breakups and shit. Like, it's just like
Too much.
Stack.
Yeah.
But then, like, I'd go to the emergency room because I couldn't get my fucking heart racing. And they said, have you thought about killing yourself? But I'm like, no. And they go, what do you mean? I go, no. So my regular doctor at the hospital goes, why didn't you tell him yeah? I said, because I know what happens after you say yeah. They put you in a fucking mental hospital.
Well, I was in Virginia, and I was in a similar situation with a breakup and all that shit, and I was just having a meltdown, and she was trying to get my brother to come to she was trying to get my brother to come over to talk to me, and I didn't want to talk to anyone. I wanted to just disappear. So I ran, and it was so blurry and slow motion, and it's like I'm like running through the streets, and I'm looking, and I just see a hospital sign. And I walk in, and I'm shaking, and I walk up to the counter, and the lady's like, can I help you? And I was like, yep. I'm like, I need to be by myself, and she's like, well, what's going on? And they weren't giving me the immediate attention I wanted. And I was like, I'm going to kill myself. And then they go, okay. And then that's when they took me and put me in a separate room. And then they called my parents. And I remember I just went to sleep because I was just so mentally shot. And they pulled the curtains over and they gave me a room inside the emergency room. And I just stayed there. They didn't give me anything, but they covered me up. I was cold. And I just remember sleeping. And then they called my parents. And then my parents came down, which they got in the car and they drove to Virginia. And then the next day, I think I talked to my therapist, and my therapist was like, be careful what you say from here on out, because if you do get committed because you want help, you might not get out, or you might have a longer stay in there than you want. And then she's like, or are you, at that time, I think I wanted to come home. And then, I told my parents, hey, I'm going to come home. So, I decided to not say that I wanted to go in, and I think it was the better decision because I don't know what would have happened. I probably would have been filled with meds, because my therapist was like, you're a very anti-medicine person, because at that, like, I was filled with, Ritalin and fucking antidepressants, and they threw the book at me with that, and it would just flatline me, and I'd be like,
Man, that ADHD is a lot more than people give credit for.
No, and I think the Ritalin that what fucked me up, and then like the meds. I'm a very self-aware person, so a self-aware person, when they take meds and stuff, they can see what it's doing. So, I mean, I can take Tylenol and I can tell you when it kicks in. There's some people that don't.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Don't do that.
No idea.
So like, to me, it's like I would see the mood change, and then I would go in and out of it. So I didn't like the way it changed me. So I was always anti-meds. And then, she was like, look, why don't you come back? She's like, I'm going to start working with you again. And at that time I was dating somebody. I think my friend Zola died at the time. Like, it was a fucked up time. And, I was away from all my friends and family, and shit was going on back home. And like, yeah, like that was my big thing. Looking back on it is like, another thing is like, how much would that have changed my life? Because your parents, you're signing your life away, and then your parents can't get you out. A doctor can't get you out. You have to prove that you can get out of there. And then if they start putting you on fucking meds and trying, oh, well, let's just see what it does for him, and let's get in here. And I'm way too much of like, fuck you. So like, I don't know, but I mean, I'm just glad you went to the hospital.
They're quick medsing you up for sure.
Yeah,
no matter what.
absolutely.
Like, I mean, like, they still try to give me pain meds for my leg and shit. I'm like, nah, we're good. Like, it's an even level of pain that I've tolerated for this long. It can be all right. But like, everywhere after that shit happened to me, they were like, friends of mine are like, why didn't you call me? I was like, it was 2:00 in the morning. They go, yeah, and I go,
and you don't want to talk to anybody at that time.
The other thing is, even if I did, how much shittier would it feel that nobody answers?
Yeah.
Like, that's something nobody puts into the fucking equation.
She texted my brother, and my brother was supposed to come to talk to me, I guess, to talk me out of a ledge. But all that would have been is, we have a conversation. I wouldn't have been honest about anything because you don't want to talk to anybody at that time. And then I would have had to go back to work the next day.
So what do you do now for it?
What? With like just getting in
better place?
I did therapy came back home. I did full on therapy, going like 2 to 3 times a week. And then you level off by like what you're kind of going on. And then I just dug really into therapists, and then my therapist gave me tools to in those situations, you learn how to control it, you learn how to operate in it. But it's not something easy. You have to keep going to therapy because it's stuff that it's not like, it's like somebody who's trying to lose weight where they're like, oh, well, just exercise. But then it's the hearing it so many times and talking it out loud, when you get into that situation, you just automatically start using tools that are in your toolbox. And then once I realized that that's what therapy did, I actually stayed in it for too long, because then you stay in it and you start using it as a crutch, and then you start using it as like you're going to this person to ask permission to do anything, and then you go there to make sure everything's okay, and you don't really start making your own decisions. But now what I do is I usually I know that I want to be by myself. So like if I feel like I need to go on a hike, I'll go on a hike. I know that I need to exercise to kind of keep my mental straight. And then it's just paying attention to what's going on. So like now, if I'm like the other day, I had a bad day. I'm like, all right, don't be on social media. And then what's funny is people will be like, hey, you were quiet on social media. And I'm like, I was posting too much on social media. I'm like, it becomes a fucking job.
I definitely post too much on there, but I don't talk to anyone. So that's like my
I don't
outlet
mind
to talk to
posting
people.
on it because I'm like promoting things and whatnot. But then when I took a break from it over Christmas, I was like, oh my God, it's so nice to not have to be tethered to something. But yeah, I just, so much self-work went in over the years that like, you know, I know what to do when it gets weird, or like, you know, if I'm drinking too much. It's just because I fucked up so many times. Like I got fucked up Saturday, and then you know, I didn't feel right Monday, and then it's like I'm still dehydrated today, so it's like I want to get to the gym, and then it's just like I just put space in between doing stuff now, because you like figure out what's gonna work. But if I get really fucking depressed, I'd reach out to my therapist, or I would maybe talk to my mom. But sometimes when you're in that mode, you know, an hour walk at night, just walking around fucking town. Sometimes when, you know, like I remember when I broke up with my ex, like I haven't been that fucking pissed off, where she had my car, and, you know, it's like fucking, you know, 5 to 10 miles away. And I was like, I'm coming for my car. And she's like, well, I'll bring it to you. And I was like, no. And I walked, and it took so long to get there. But by the time I got my car, I wasn't angry. Like, because I knew I had to do something, or else it was going to be like freak out and fucking break shit or go on a bender. So like at that point, I was like, okay, well, if you walk to your fucking car, like that's not going to be easy, and it's going to take probably 3 hours. But by the time you get there, I've already went through the motions of you fucking bitch, you motherfucker. Like, you know, I'm like walking like with purpose. Like, yeah, I fucking hate you. You fucking, and then the whole thing's reeling back through my head. You said you were going to fucking, you wanted to be with me. You wanted to get fucking married. Why the fuck did you waste my time? And I got it all out, and it helped tremendously. It saved me a lot of fucking, you know, I got sleep that night. Like there's a lot of things no one talks about, like staying up too late.
It's weird how quick people will get fucking married now.
Yeah.
Like, and then people wonder why the people don't stay together. I'm like, I don't know, because you don't even know this motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm like I know people
Well,
are
it's
like
common for divorce now. It's not.
I mean,
it didn't work out.
The very nature
Remember
of
when that was taboo to get divorced?
The very nature of what I've done my whole life is fixing things that are broke.
Yeah.
So it carries on to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I fell in a bad pattern of that with women, and now I try and stay away from it.
I mean, it's not. I'm just talking about like you have problems. It's too easy for motherfuckers to just be like, oh, well, fuck it. See you later.
Yeah.
Like this could be fixed easily. And not with a fucking text message, with an actual conversation.
Yeah, people texting about that shit. I'll call people out on it now and be like, hey, this is a call. I didn't read your text message. Where you get 5 paragraphs, get out of here. I'm not reading any of that. And I'll just text, I'm not reading that. If you'd like to get on the conversation, if you'd like to see me in person.
I've been in like arguments because I'm like, this is how you said that. I go, that's not how I said that. I go, you can't even hear my tone of voice in the text message. You're interpreting it the complete opposite way that it was intended. I'm like, this could be a
That's why I stopped
15-minute conversation and solve.
Well, I stopped doing that because when I started interpreting text messages wrong, because you don't know the person's tone.
No, at all.
So I said that to my friend. I said, I'm texting you, hey, what's up? And I said, you could be reading it as, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? I said, you don't know how the fuck I'm saying it. So if somebody's like, even the other day I was texting somebody and they thought I was yelling at them, and I was like, or I sent an email out to a company I work for, and it was about concerns I had going on. But in the end of it, I almost wanted to be like, hey, I'm not complaining. Like, this is just a normal conversation. There's no anger tone to this, but like emails, text messages, all that. And especially if you're having a bad day and you read that, like, oh, you fucking attacking me, bro?
Yeah.
Like even comments, when people comment on shit, I'll get all worked up and be like, ready to be like, fuck you, motherfucker. And then I'll be like, well, and then I just delete it now. I used to engage a lot more with people.
I mean, it's hard.
I try and buff and space off.
I mean, I do like local fucking community pages. You know how they always would post the same thing 50 times?
I love fucking with people.
For
on those.
me, for 3 years, it's been about the friendlies that closed in my fucking town.
Oh yeah.
And
I got banned from all the local stuff doing that.
The one, like yesterday, somebody goes, "Is there anything going on in town tonight?" I go, "There was always something going on with friendlies was open," and that's all I say. And I don't
but
fucking
people
comment.
like it now.
Oh, yeah, or they get pissed, and then when
Yeah.
they get pissed, I go, "Well, that's your opinion."
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. And then they get
You
more
wouldn't
pissed.
be at Friendlies anyways.
I've never even fucking been there. Like I never went to it once.
I love. I used to do that on Lehigh Valley Live, and what happened is, I started complaining about women and saying that I was divorced, and that somebody wrote something. And I'm like, yeah, this is very similar to my third wife. I'm like, that fat Sal. And then all these like stay-at-home moms were like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that about your wife. And I was like, there's a reason she'd be my ex. So I think. Because for a while, I just was like, it was like comedy. And then like even Lehigh Valley Live would like some of the stuff because it was like solid jokes. Like what you do. Like it's good written out jokes and everybody thinks it's funny. And then once I started like complaining about people who didn't exist that were women, that's when it got shut down. I miss it. And like people would be like, dude, do you remember? Because people would wait for it and they'd be like, I was waiting for you to comment.
My big one was always like, people go, oh, what was in this building? And I go, oh, funny you say it. And I make up a completely ridiculous story about being a brothel during the Civil War. Said it had pelts from wall to wall, talking about Bush, and I just make up this fucking whole story because that's the one thing I'm real good at. Off right from the hip, making up a whole bullshit story.
It's one of my favorite things
and
to
then
do.
somebody goes, what'd you think about that? I go, no, I just thought about it when I was typing it. That's it.
Yeah. I love spewing it, and especially when the person knows they're like you're lying, you're making this up.
Like you're wrong.
I'm like, no.
Look it up, like just that.
Where do you plan on going when you travel again?
I think, I got to go to Minnesota, which I'm not looking forward to.
What are you going there for?
I have to go help one of my friends with a project, but it's cold as fuck in Minnesota right now.
Yeah.
I went there a couple years ago. Now they have Prince's house I wanted to see. I wanted to see Paisley Place. Now it's like full-on Graceland.
I want to go to Dollywood.
I went to Dollywood, but I didn't fuck around in Dollywood.
I would love to go like spend a day.
You know what's funny?
And like do the things you're supposed to do in Dollywood.
So my friend Jeff's wife like rents cabins like in Gatlinburg and shit down there. And this is every time I hear Dollywood, this is all I think of. Somebody called her on the phone and said, I'm in some town called Peguion Forge. And she goes, what? Hey, Peguion Forge. And it's Pigeon Forge. It's obviously it's Pigeon Forge. So every time me and him talk about it, that's what it is. Peguion Forge.
I remember being in line to see, what the fuck was it? I can't think of it now. What's the one with Bruce Willis and it's like the end of the world? Ben Affleck's in it.
Armageddon?
Yes. So we're in line to see Armageddon and these two kids are in front of us and the kid goes, yeah, 2 tickets to see a megadome.
It's hard to ever forget that now, ever.
A megadome. Anytime Armageddon comes up, we laughed for like hours going into it. I'm like, a megadome?
Yeah, that's, you know something? The only time like that, Gallup, New Mexico is kind of a shithole, but it's like Indian reservation and it's every fucked up stereotype you can think of. And I remember there was this old guy sitting outside there that reeked of alcohol. And we stopped at a Taco Bell, me and Oliver. And I get out of the truck and go, Hal. We laugh. He does not. So we're in the store, and another guy's got a fucking Native Pride hat on. He's sitting behind us.
That's a solid hat. I had one for a while.
So I sit down at the table. I mean, the guy reeked of Bud Heavies. Fucking reeked of it. So I sit down, and I'm facing the wall, and Oliver sits next to me. He goes, do you check out Chief Runs with liquor stores? I laughed so fucking hard, I couldn't stop laughing. And then every time I look at him, he's laughing again. And then I can't even concentrate for 90 miles afterwards. Me and him are still laughing about it.
You guys used to road trip quite a bit, didn't you?
Yeah, like that one, he was driving back to Phoenix by himself from Memphis. So he would work for Southwest and get me a buddy pass home. I'm like, well, fuck it. I don't want you to drive home by yourself. I'll just drive with you and fly home.
And you guys used to always drive out for those fucking truck meetups and shit, too.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to go with Nat. I think you were out there for that. It might have been the
one in Memphis?
Yes. I drove. Well, I flew out, and then I think I drove home with Duffy. I forget how we did it that way.
I mean, the getting there is the best part almost, because you stop and see dumb shit and then do all kind of bullshit on the way.
Yeah,
like we used to stop. We go to Biloxi.
Oh, I forgot we were with. I was just looking at those pictures.
We go to Biloxi. We'd always stop in South Carolina at the Penthouse Club at lunchtime. And they go, oh, what are you guys doing in here? It's 12 o'clock. And somebody would always be like, we stopped here to take shits. I'm not even joking. The whole place was marble. Even the fucking bathroom. So it was the cleanest bathrooms you could get. And it was literally off the highway. Everyone would go there and take shits. That's all they would go for. And then they said, you should have been here last week. We're like, why? She goes, that girl fell down the stage and knocked her 2 front teeth out. Oof. She slid down the pole. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we went to some music hall of fame. I forget what it was. And
Sun
then,
Records?
Yep. And then we went to I'm trying to think. Was it Pudge and Amy who were with us? I forget who the fuck was there. There was like a group of us that went, and then we stayed. It's so long ago. And then we went to Beale Street, I think.
Yeah.
And then that was the first time where I accepted country music.
I accepted it.
I accepted it because I grew up on like the Chattahoochee and whatever.
If you go to Austin,
And
Austin had a lot more weird shit.
when we went there and I saw country live and was like real country, and like these guys were like trying to make these country bands and the bars and like just the scene, and I was like, oh, I could listen to this.
No, that was Nashville.
Nashville then?
Because we would always stop in Nashville on the way to Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when we stopped at these bars and there was like country music playing, I was like, oh, okay. But like to sit and listen to a car to like what country is now and what it was in the 90s. I like with like how you were saying like outlaw country and like stuff that like Nat turned me on to, or like my brothers listen to stuff that I could see pockets of country, but like mainstream country, that's the only thing I've ever known about country, and I've hated it. And then when I went there, I was like, oh, all right, there's different styles of country.
Yeah. I mean, I saw Willie Nelson in September.
Where at?
And right outside Baltimore in Columbia at Merriweather. It was him, Tyler Childress, Nathaniel Radcliffe and the Night Sweats, and somebody fucking else. I can't remember who else. But like Tyler Childress does a bunch of songs about doing cocaine and pills. And
I think somebody turned me on to that. So
that's, I mean,
Shivy's always got good country.
It's pretty good. There's a lot of weird country now that doesn't sound like country though.
No. But then they also do weird stuff for like algorithm pops and what they can get on radio stations and all that shit.
Tyler Childress does a cover of Pink Floyd Time.
Yeah.
Like acoustic.
Who's the other super psychedelic guy?
Oh,
Sterling. Sturgill Simpson. You like his shit?
Yeah, most of it. I like the bluegrass shit better.
Yeah. I did too, and a couple people were like, I'm like, I actually prefer
They have like
bluegrass.
Chris Stapleton got real big.
Yeah.
They have bluegrass with him, the Steel Drivers. That's fucking way better than all the fucking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you dig
shit.
through the music, almost like, digging through hip hop and shit, there's a lot of garbage hip hop, but I like.
You know what's weird about hip hop now? Like, you remember when we were younger, like rock guys were like kind of like philosophers too.
Yeah.
Now there's rappers like that.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Gates about not being around pieces of shit people. You're gonna fuck your whole life up.
Yeah.
Nipsey Hussle was a good one.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of these guys just motivating shit that like most rock music is not like that anymore.
No, it's weird to listen to music anymore because I think we grew up in a different time when music was way different, and then now it's like they don't even look to put out albums.
No, and it's weird. It seemed like it had more substance then, and now you got to really look for it.
Yeah.
But there's a few like pop singers that I fucking hate saying are good, but the fucking songs are written so good.
Yeah, some of the stuff's easy to listen to.
Like I don't fucking like Billie Eilish. I fucking hate it, and I don't understand why so many people like it. I've tried.
It's weird.
To it. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to take pills when I fucking hear that shit. Like I don't understand. Like everybody should be depressed listening to this.
Yeah, she's it's weird. Like I've heard her music just because it's like on in a gas station or shit like that. You know what I mean? Like where you're like just somewhere and it's playing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's that beat? And then when I found out who she was, and then when I started kind of like looking into who she was as a person, I was like, what the fuck are you even doing?
I mean, it's weird. Like 70s country guys especially, like the work ethic and shit they did.
Yeah.
Like you look at like Chris Christopherson. Chris Christopherson's my fucking hero. He like Oxford educated before he sang country music, was in the Army, a helicopter pilot. Then gets a job at a fucking record factory in Nashville, and he was a janitor when like Bob Dylan's recording animals, not albums. What the fuck am I saying? Albums. And like is cleaning up trash and emptying ashtrays during all that shit. Writes Me and Bobby McGee. And now everybody's like, yeah, he was in Blade. I'm like, you're a fucking asshole. Like, can you imagine being that educated, doing that much shit in your life, and then
Blade.
I'm going to be a fucking janitor so I can get my songs played?
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't see that shit now.
That's why I saw a documentary on the white stripes, and it was what's his name, Jack, whatever.
Jack White.
Yeah. And like what he did, where he like took the money he made and then bought like a record store in somewhere, and then like on a main street in some, you know, it's like Tennessee or Texas or some shit like that. And then he then ended up putting in a vinyl, like he makes his own vinyl now, and like he has a place where like recording artists can come, and then you can like go through him to get your vinyl made, but you could also go to his record store and he's usually there. And then like, I just think it's cool when like somebody's so obsessed with their music and shit and then makes all that money and they're like, oh yeah, but like what I wanted to do was like make my own records, and now I'll just do that.
I mean, it's good
and then fall off the map.
It's good to be, it's people care about it more when you see them get obsessed with whatever.
Yeah.
Like everybody's got this obsession with, and I largely, I'll say this, is fucking because all the Gary Vee shit. Everybody thinks you're going to get rich. Everybody ain't going to get fucking rich.
No.
You're going to be successful, but success varies a lot of different ways. Like, it doesn't mean you're going to have money. It could just mean you're fucking happy with a job you genuinely give a fuck about. Otherwise, you have a job you don't care about.
I tell everybody it's the freedom for me doing this.
Like, otherwise, you have people that have an office job, a fucking assembly line job, and then they're fucking smashing football TVs because the fucking Cowboys lose like a fucking jerk off. Like, beating their fucking wife.
That was funny, like the amount of like photos that came out of like the fans in the crowd.
Who the fuck gets that invested on something you physically don't fucking do, aren't ever going to do, and the people that do it don't give a fuck about you?
Yeah.
Like, I worked on these fucking dickheads' cars for a decade, and when they say, do you know who I am? And you're like, no, I have no fucking clue who you are. The absolutely look of disgust you get afterwards is fucking shocking. I'm like, oh, you're the guy that has rubbers hidden in his spare tire from his wife. I remember that.
Yeah. I did hear stories from people who worked in that industry where the stuff they find where like the wives and the husbands are cheating on each other.
I've found one that had a baby seat with Grey Goose bottles with the nipple off, porno mags in front of the fucking seat, shitty movie scripts. They all leave their fucking pay stubs. Bunch of them had dope hidden in the cars. Ike's picks wrapped in fucking bandanas in the door panel. Like, prominent motherfuckers at the time. And I'm like, you fucking pieces of shit. The whole time. And people were like, no, he's a good guy. I'm like, yeah, that's because you're a fucking fan event. I'm like, I'm an asshole fixing his car.
Yeah.
Like, this is the difference here.
That must have sucked for you to watch that building get taken down.
I'm too sentimental about shit.
Yeah.
I'll be fully fucking admit it. And it's like, probably...
That was a big part of your life.
I mean, like, I moved in that building.
Yeah.
Like, I worked at the store when it was in Baltimore.
Because you were there up until the accident, right? Yeah.
And I liked working at that place.
Yeah, like you're like what I'm saying is it's stuff that you're doing now and the trajectory of your life.
I would hate
what, like, you know what I mean?
I would hate working there now.
Yeah.
Because Land Rover got away from the love of the product.
I love that you got that car for $400.
Yeah. People hate old Range Rovers. I'm like,
I love them. They're way better than the new ones.
I agree. And they're not in the shop all the fucking time.
Yeah.
They're just real primitive.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I PDI'd that truck when I first started there in 2001.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel even better.
What year
it.
is that one that you
2001?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that's right around they became my favorite one. And then I drove one of the newer ones and it was just like...
It drives like a car.
The windshield was super fucking tight. And I was like, this sucks. And I was like, this is what all the athletes are driving? Because my brother or my friend Kevin worked over there. And he's like, you want to take one out? And I was like, that's like my dream car. And then when I drove it, I was like, this is fucking weird.
When I started there... Like
the features on it are fucking rad. Like where he drove me like sideways on the wall, and he's like, "This has an option to go in the desert," and I'm like, "What? Well, can I not pay for that?"
The headquarters used to be outside DC.
Yeah,
and they had an off-road track at the headquarters. So when you go to school, you're four-wheeling brand new trucks.
Yeah,
they don't have to do any of that shit anymore. Like Land Rover got sold to. When I started there, Land Rover owned it. Then it was British Air. Then it was BMW. When BMW came, they changed the whole body style. But you got to assume the product has to evolve.
Yeah,
people don't want off-road trucks. People want all the fucking features.
Well, even look at the new Bronco. They made that seem like it was going to be so cool, and then I see him, and I'm like, this looks like the cheap version of a Jeep Cherokee.
I like the new Bronco, but...
I like some of them that are done correctly.
Yeah. But it was weird. It's weird seeing a company that's fully about the product. Like, we would have to have off-road events every 3 months, and customers would go. And it was fun to work there. And now it's just not like that anymore. Now it's like any... regular car manufacturer.
A lot of places are like that.
But I don't think people give a fuck anymore either. You have a few customers that really care.
Yeah.
But for the most part...
It's a status purchase.
I mean, we had one guy, he's got a paving company. He's still got an old one, bought a new Defender, but he's got a series truck from the 70s. that like is the original Land
Yeah.
Rovers, and I like did some shit to it, but it was fucking cool.
What's the one that you posted that you said you wanted to get?
A Defender.
Yeah, is that the one where the chick's ass was out the window? Yeah.
I mean, like, you want to be the best Defender, right? But I want the full asshole right-hand drive one, so I can wear a stupid hat and just ride around going, isn't it, all fucking day.
That's an awesome vehicle.
It's so much fucking money.
What do you think your next vehicle project's going to be?
I have too many fucking cars now.
We got rid of the van. That was
I got rid of the
sad to
van. Yes. And I got rid of the
van was
van.
dope.
I got rid of the van because of a girl.
see. Wanted it or liked
No,
it?
liked it. I used to go on dates in that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, gotta go, motherfucker. Gotta
Yeah.
go. I had 2 Roadmaster wagons. Both of them are gone. The stabbing wagon, the one I
That's
had.
gone?
Yeah, that's gone too.
Yeah.
So
Who usually purchases them? I really enjoy when you post people trying to haggle you.
I fucking hate it. Like
I know you hate it, but like I read your posts how you talk. So like
I mean, like now I started letting it go, but then when I get like absurdly low fucking offers,
yeah.
now I just ignore the price and just send more pictures like they ask, and they always go, "Do you accept the offer?" And I go, "Oh, you were fucking serious."
Yeah.
I go,
I do
"I thought
like
you were
that.
being an asshole." I mean, that one guy, and I don't understand guys in their 60s getting to political insults.
Yeah.
Like what? Like that's what the guy said. He gave me $2,000 for a car I was asking $8,000 for. So then I said I didn't want to seem rude, but I couldn't tell from his picture if he had Down syndrome or not. And then he got pissed and then called me. He goes, "What'd he say to me?" He called me a Biden backer and told me to get a job. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, I don't understand. I was like, if you want to make me a reasonable offer, like, don't insult
6.
me. That's a reason. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, the
Meet
guy,
you at 7.
the guy that bought it from me, that's what he said. Would you take this much? I go, yeah. He goes, can I come tomorrow? I'm like, yeah. I was like, for that price, I'll give you all the extra parts I have too.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm reasonable, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to get robbed.
Absolutely.
I mean, I get you want to throw a lowball offer, but like that's a fine line before you just pissed off this
$2,000.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, $2,000. Fuck you.
That's you might as well be like talking to people on
But like the one
Marketplace.
Roadmaster wagon I had, that I had it on there for $1,500,
Yeah.
and I figured it's $1,500. It runs, drives. It's a good car for somebody to fuck with if they wanted a little project car. Some guy said he'd give me $400 for it. I'm like, for $400, this motherfucker will sit here forever.
Yeah. It's not worth me getting rid of it.
Yeah. So
For you to turn around and sell it for 15.
well, a kid came and bought it that wanted like a little toy project.
Yeah.
And he worked at a Chevy dealer and he was just getting out of like tech school. I'm like, oh, this is a good car for you then. I'm like, it's easy to work on.
Yeah.
He goes, would you, I was asking 16. He goes, would you take 14? I'm like, yeah, I'll take 14.
Yeah.
Came and got it 2 days later. Asked if he could sit there for a couple days till he got title and tags. It's like, as long as you pay me for the title, it can
Let
sit
it
here. I
sit.
don't care.
A friend of mine sold a car or truck. It was just a beater truck he had in between a time in his life or whatever, and he didn't need it anymore. And it was just money he didn't want to dump into it. So this guy bought it and paid him. And he's like, it'll be a couple days. And then I think the guy went to jail and like the truck just sat there for a couple years. Then one day it was gone. And I was like, did that guy take that? And he was like, I don't know. It was in his name and I don't care. It's off my property.
Yeah, that Range Rover got abandoned at a shop. A couple guys I worked with opened a shop in Hunt Valley, and that's all they really work on is European stuff.
Yeah.
So Ryan that ran the shop worked at Jag when I worked at Land Rover. He hated working on them, so I like put a headliner in a Discovery and gave him $400 for that. And
Yeah.
I've been driving it every fucking day.
It's dope. The first time you saw it, I was like, damn. I was like, that's an awesome year.
I mean, it's like the body's not fucked up.
No.
I
I want to see it before you leave.
I didn't
Did you bring it?
I
You
didn't bring it
motherfucker.
today.
What'd you
I
bring?
didn't today? I brought a fire truck Suburban today.
I'll check that out. Yeah, but you always have so much fucking cars.
I mean, I got a 56 Dodge 2-door hardtop that's been in storage since 81. And then you remember in the early 80s, churches used to hang out those trash bags that went around like cigarette lighter or radio
Yeah.
knob? That was still in the car with the Almond
That's
Joy
awesome.
and Rolo wrapper. I got a 50 Cadillac. I got a 61 Parkwood wagon. I think that's it. And then my
Where do you have them all at the shop?
now my bunch of them are at my house.
Yeah.
And then the wagon
What's
was
the next project you're getting into?
I got the Dodge. I'll probably get running, but then I keep fucking looking at Overland in my Range Rover. Like,
Are you
but-
still doing you post it sometimes. Are you still doing the interior?
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
goofy mid-century weird shit.
You-
Like that's
you pick up so much awesome fucking material.
like that's the thing. Like that's kind of my like when you say like Jack White gets obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I'm like obsessed with mid-century vintage cloth.
I love it though.
It's my
But yeah,
favorite.
at this point, there's got to be people contacting you, knowing that you have
Yeah, but
that
then,
much shit.
And I tell these guys, I was like, man, I don't have any fucking money. And they're like, what do you mean? I go, I don't have money to give you what you. I don't know what you want for it. I'm like, tell me what you want for it before I come there. And a lot of guys will be like, no, I like you, and you let me come over there and
Yeah.
fiddle. You can just have it. I'm like, what? They go, you can have it. I'm like, okay, are you sure?
How do you find it? It's just other people that
A lot of guys in their 80s.
car industry
There's a
just
guy,
had it?
There's a guy in Texas, Vernon. Vernon's 90. Vernon's probably 93 now. He's been doing interior work since the 50s, 60s. He lets me come there and just raid through his shit. But now I trade him shit here and there. So
yeah,
it's
I always like seeing when you fucking post helping like old people out.
I mean, those guys, like, you got to figure that's a different era of human.
Totally different era.
So, like, they tell you, like, the one guy's place I go to is in a shithole in Philly. And they film Drugs Inc. on his block and shit. So he will tell you, like, this used to be the Plymouth dealer. This was the Dodge dealer, yada, 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 yada. And he just, but it's like talking to myself, but 83.
Yeah.
Because he always tells you about broads coming to the shop.
Yeah.
And then he'll show you pictures of his girlfriends from like the late 50s. I'm like, what the fuck, man? But he's so fucking cool. But when I have weird questions, he just knows.
Yeah.
And I'll pull out material off his shelf and he goes, oh, I know what this is for. And just tells you. But then every year they made a sample book for like dealer repairs. I have sample books. The oldest one I have is 1939 till 2020. So I have like a whole fucking library for like where to find out what.
Yeah, I saw you like slowly getting more and more material, and then I was like, holy shit, he has so much fucking rad stuff. And then when you actually put the projects together, it really, it's night and day. Because I remember when you went out to do that and you didn't even know what you were doing.
Oh yeah, no.
And then like now to see it come, full circle where like you're completely confident in what you're doing. Or
I'm definitely not that.
I'm saying, but like showing it online and being like, this is what I do, is that
like,
confidence.
I
don't have confidence in anything I do.
I don't either. It's probably,
but that's what makes it work.
It's probably the absolute toxic way to go about this. But I talk to a bunch of guys that make me feel like everything I do is a piece of shit. And then it just makes me want to be better at it.
Yeah.
And it's probably the exact wrong way to fucking do it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I do that to myself all the time.
It's better to be around people that are way better than you. So at least if you have a question.
And you learn. You're constantly learning.
Or if you fuck up, like, they tell you should have done it like this.
Yeah.
And I know guys, like, I've been lucky to surround myself with real fucking talented creative people. Because it makes me strive to want to do better in whatever, you know what I mean? And it's not like it's the same thing.
No,
like,
and when the older you get, the more that people kind of just stop doing what they want to do, and it's harder to find pockets. So it's like, having Zach and JM and like, like Jer, because he works for a production company, they're always working at a high level, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I have my friends that push me to do stuff, but they're just working a 9 to 5. But it's the people that are running a business. Like, Zach just got back from going and filming out with Grace and JM and doing like DVD stuff. So when I talk to him today, like, that's gonna be an amped up conversation. Like, dude, we flew out. We got the tournament coming this Saturday. I'm opening up the coffee shop. Like, when you're around people that are constantly, you feed off of it. And I always tell them, like, I'm so appreciative to have him ahead of me, because it's like you're constantly going after, well, look what he's getting, look what he's getting, look what he's getting. And then you have 4 or 5 people that you're looking in every direction to grow. And when you are the only one who's doing that in your circle, or you're just tired of hearing the same old shit from your friends, it's really hard to get the fucking gears going.
Yeah, it's real easy to sit around and do nothing.
Like, this podcast is going to, I'll be like, man, I forgot what it's like to do a longer podcast. And it's like, and I'm putting a lot more space in between my work now to appreciate what I'm doing, instead of just I'm grinding, but slower, because I don't need to. So like now it's like, what I'll take from this show is I'll be like, man, I can't wait to get that edited and put it up. There's so many good parts in that. And like, I'm remotivated to podcast more.
I mean, it's important. And I don't think people give it enough credit to have some sort of fulfillment in shit you do.
Yeah.
Whether it be work, like, I mean, and more that than any fucking thing.
Yeah.
Because that's what you spend more time doing than any fucking thing.
It's the only reason I liked cleaning, is because you could see what the fuck the hard work did.
Like, even with all the, and I'm sure with all the quarantine COVID stuff, depression's at a higher level than ever.
Oh my god, dude, everyone's so fucked up.
To not have a project you can see start to finish.
Yeah.
Just the fulfillment you get from whatever it is, cleaning, cooking food, whatever the fuck. Making something.
The last podcast I was editing, I was like, I paid attention to what I was doing, and I was like, oh my God, you have an intro and an outro, and like to see it when I remember first doing it, and I have like the intro and the graphics and everything, and then like to what it turned into, where I was like copying and pasting the sponsors on there, and then I was like, there was one moment I looked up and I was like, holy shit. I was like, holy shit, man. Like, what the fuck? And then I was just like, what? Like, it was almost like I got to see my work completed for the first time. But you're too busy, or you keep working. You don't stick your head, like everyone's always like, oh, this happened, that happened, what are you doing now? And it's like, I don't got time to look at that shit. I want to work more. I mean, I've always been obsessed with work. It's been one of the biggest problems working for somebody else is because I wanted to work too much. I wanted to work too hard. And if that happens, you can't pay me the amount that I'm worth because I'm working too much. And then it's like, and then if you give somebody an idea and it's not theirs, then they get fucking weird. And then like when I finally started doing this on my own, I'm like, oh, this is all I wanted to do.
See, that when I was in Oklahoma, that was the best thing. Two good things there. One, no idea was off the table. And that just doesn't happen. And two, you get told to not be afraid to throw shit in the trash.
Yeah.
Like if you're fucking hating it and you're halfway through it, it's time to start over.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't translate into that. It translates into fucking everything.
Everything.
But then, like,
even making the bagels, like Gina will be like, I don't like this dough, and throw it out and start over.
I mean, like our age, like I meet people that are just unhappy with their fucking life, and I'm like, I was like, you better figure it out. And they're like, what do you mean? I go, you're running out of fucking time.
Yeah.
I was like, if I was you, I would do an audit of your entire life, and if these motherfuckers are gonna let you sit around and not do shit, like in a small town like I live in, it's real easy to get trapped into the local fucking bar pitfall and then never fucking do shit. And then the same people,
I did it for a long time.
The same people, they're the that must be nice people.
Yeah.
Like, you could do this. Just fucking go.
I came into the bar the one night and the bartender was like, man, you got the fucking life. And I just go, what? And he's like, you got the life. And then I just sat there and thought of that. And it was like a flashback of like, every job I've quit, being broke, not having money, trying to figure this out, and then like getting to a point where like now because I post more on social media and figured a way to share my visions to people in a pleasing manner, you think that I just started doing that? I mean, like do you know how much hard work that was?
I'll tell you right now.
The amount of friends that died where I could have just gave up, got a job at a factory, and just drank and sat in a garage and didn't do anything.
Almost get killed. It'll put a lot of shit into perspective that you only spend time with people that you determine are quality time.
Yeah, when you have that big spike where like, you know, I remember getting the call when Josh died and like everything just fell. And I was just like, there was no stress, there was no thoughts of money, there was no nothing. It was just life sitting there. And I was like, oh, none of that matters.
No,
none of that matters. None of it's all made up stress.
I mean, it makes it easier.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day,
I was like, all the stress and the things that I have carrying on me and these things with these people and relationships and all this drama and just like life that is what becomes a daily basis that you don't even pay attention to because it's just noise, all went. And I was like, I was so weirded out because there was a moment where you're not even thinking about, I wasn't even thinking about his death, where I was just sitting there and I was like, huh, that's real, not made up stimulation and everything else going on. It was just like, it's when you have those prongs, and I've had, I haven't had near death, but I've had some pretty fucking, I've been punched in the mouth a couple fucking times with some shit. So like when you get a reality check like that, it starts defining what you really want to do. And then like I just started kind of cutting bullshit out and started focusing on like being around better people and cutting the fat out and, you know, even quitting drinking. That was so crazy to see who just wants to drink with you. Because when you start telling people you don't drink, it's weird because you immediately like are throwing like a leper off to the side.
You know what I get asked all the time? Well, what do you do? And I go, what do you mean? They go, what do you do? I'm like, I do lots of shit. I don't do that. Like, you know, there's other shit you could do. But then I don't go out and eat with people, but then I've been trying to love
going out.
I've been trying to do better.
Yeah. I see you put up there if anyone wants to get tacos.
Yeah. So, because it's easier to do that than text 500 fucking people. So I went out to eat with a buddy of mine. We went on like a Wednesday night to this place to get wings, him and his friend. And I'm like, it's fucking Wednesday, and all these people are at a fucking bar, and this is every day of their life. And it was giving me fucking anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, this ain't my people. And they go, what do you mean? I go, this ain't for me.
Yeah, you need to go to like an Applebee's.
I mean, I don't want to do that either. Friendlies, and get a happy ending or a fribble. Like, that's the way, then what's that thing? Like, you got to be like a shark, you got to keep moving or you'll fucking die.
Yeah.
Like, I mean.
I used to go to themed restaurants just to think. Because I'd go to the bar and I wouldn't know anybody, and then I was sober and I would go there and I'd bring a notebook and I would start working out like t-shirt ideas and working on projects. Sometimes I like to just, but I got sober in a bar. I've always been in a bar scene, so I do have that comfort from the noise. But I like going to bars where like it, you know, like Red Robin or something where you can just sit off in a fucking booth and be left alone. And then it's just like, it's just really like travelers are the only ones that are coming in there. And I don't mean gypsies, like people in and out of town for work.
I hate that I can't get comfortable. Like I fucking hate it. Yeah. I'm like always fucking uncomfortable. It's good and bad.
I like to hide.
It keeps me moving, but
Well, that was the other thing when you ask what I do. Like the last time I started getting weird, I drove out and I went to this bar, Dietz's, and it's a little bit outside of where my parents live, outside of Little Vegas. And then I went there, and then I just sat in the corner, and I just got a cheesesteak, and I turned my phone off and just was like, I'm gonna have a cheesesteak. Like,
I mean, I fucking like anymore. Like you're talking about the therapy. For a while, I had a fake Twitter page that I used to just write down thoughts on. I didn't follow anybody and I didn't tell anybody about it. Or I'd write it down on a piece of paper and throw it in the trash.
Yeah, that stuff's huge too.
Because I genuinely think most people don't fucking care, contrary to what they say. Or they use it to talk about that shit with their friends. So you got to be real fucking careful how much stuff you tell people.
Yeah, you start being public about stuff. I mean, I learned that with getting sober, because then when I wasn't sober anymore, everybody hated me. Or I shouldn't say everyone, but I mean that's how I viewed it. But like, there was a lot of people that did not like that I did that. I mean, and then like people are talking like, oh, he's drinking again, but they said it as if I was gonna fail. And you know what? Nobody talks about that I do drink again, and that I do stuff, and that. No, that I've this business is further along than it's ever been, and yeah, maybe that slowed me down, but nobody once acknowledges that I did that and I'm now successful.
No,
like they don't, because all they wanted was for me to fall on my face. Oh, he's gonna be a fucking drunk again.
That's what most people want.
But then nobody talks about, like I said it to my one friend the other day. I go, don't you think it's weird that like nobody ever like discussed that? Like I'm glad that part of me is behind me, because like there was a lot that came with that, with people wanting help, and then you can't help it. People, you cannot help it. You can give them advice, and if they take their advice in your direction and they go do something different with their life, that's awesome. That's what you can influence people by doing positive things, but like I can't make you get sober. I can't tell you what the fuck I can do, or first of all, what worked for me is not going to work for you. I fucking quit drinking in a bar, stayed working there, dated a heroin addict, and fucking lived there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I worked at a bar, lived at a bar, dated a junkie, and stayed there for a year until Nat pulled me aside and said, hey, you don't have to prove this to anyone anymore. Come live at my house. And then I started renting the bottom of his basement.
I mean, I let one person live in my house. One would just stay there every weekend when they were getting divorced.
Yeah.
And I don't really hear from either of them. Like, I try to help people, like, whatever I can. No.
You can't. I know what to do at this point to kind of tell them like how to do things a little bit differently, or things that'll help them. But if they don't like I had a friend who was going through a divorce, and I was like, hey man, exercise. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, I don't know what to tell you. That's what helped me. If you don't want to listen to what helped me, there's no point in us talking. And then I just get exhausted.
Dude, I get more, I might get divorce conversations. I don't know anything about it. I've never been.
No, yeah.
Hey, what are the odds of me taking a leak?
Well, we can wrap up. We're going on fucking almost 2 hours.
Sorry.
No, yeah, we'll just wrap up because I want to talk to you a little bit before you leave, and I know you got to ride home. Anytime you want to do this, I'm 100% down. Because when you were coming up, you were like, what are we going to talk about? Or somebody was asking you that, and I was like, I'm just going to talk to you because we haven't talked in fucking years.
It's better getting me to just ramble, because I don't want to talk about other shit like that. It's more interesting. I mean, I don't know. I feel like people don't talk about human interaction. So it's odd that people talk about it. Or
if we don't wrap up, we could easily have done another hour.
Oh, for fucking
But that's
sure.
what I'm saying is like, when I get everything going, I was like, especially with the new studio, I can come down there and we could set. I want to set something up for you so that you can just ramble on and like go live or whatever. Because I do like when you go live and your Snapchat's funny. I like how you save your fucking like you complain a different way on fucking Snapchat where you'll just go off on shit than what it is over there. But I don't know. It's always a blast talking to you. Thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to promote or something? Will you have your meme page if anybody wants to follow it? Or
Memeuary.
Yeah, I'll put it in all the fucking.
And then I have like Adventures in Babysitting page when I started doing travel and stuff.
Yeah, I think you definitely need to do that more.
Yeah. I'm trying. I need to get better at how the routine of it set up is, because I'm just fucking all over the place. Yeah. So that's how I do it.
It'll fall into place. That's how I started everything. And then it just a pattern develops, and then you just start following the pattern. And then, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. And if you try and do it the way somebody else is, it isn't going to work. So I just usually tell everybody like, hey man, just keep doing it. That's all I ever did. The format of this didn't come until we were fucking like 5 seasons in, and then like now it's not even. It's gonna change again when we move. It's like we're gonna do a whole different thing.
The next place I go, maybe I'll take the pictures ahead of time and then put them all.
Well, see, like I get in the habit of doing it as I go. And then some people I watch, they take all the pictures. Then when they get home, they post the pictures. But I like to do the.
That's what I like to do too. While I'm doing it at the time.
You could do it real time in stories and then post it.
Yeah.
All right. If I
gotta piss.
I know. It's like, I'll close out. You were like rocking like we're on a bus. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're a first time listener, first time watcher, it's anythingneveragainstudio.com. Everything is on there. Our apparel's on there. Our sponsors are on there. Go check out the sponsors. They're listed on the webpage, and when I post, I put them in there. Please support them anywhere from Rips Auto Detail to Mindleaf CBD to Giacomo's to Luke Delmeyer, everybody who's helped the show out. We're going to be doing some new stuff with our sponsors. We're going to be highlighting them a little bit better, and we're just going to be, taking care of the people that take care of us. We're moving the studio, all new things coming. Please subscribe to the YouTube. I need that to get up to 1,000 subscribers. Then that way we're going to start monetizing the channel. So real big heavy push. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much, and God bless. Be safe, drive safe.
Never Again Radio. Get into it, brother.